And for those of you who are only Ultimate focused or just not even Smash focused or just tuning into my stream for what it is, and need me to fill you in, Cody Schwab is in contention for being the current best player for Melee in the world right now. It's a very close race, I feel, between JMook and Cody, with Zain right there in the mix with Amsa too. To some standards, you could argue that Cody could do it by the end of the year. The main issue with this is that for all the work he's put in and for everything he's been through, Cody Schwab remains sponsorless. He remains without a team. And, you know, sometimes things happen to me that are inconvenient, and I'm like, damn, I have the worst luck. But then sometimes I take it for granted because I see someone like Cody who truly has had bad luck. Truly so many things beyond his control happening to him. And it really should be stated. It really should be stated how hard this guy works. I mean, his original title was I Be Doing Work, right? But, you know, many times on his stream and on his socials, he's discussed the various, he's discussed the various facets of why his personal life is tough, family situation, a lot of things like that, you know. I think he won Summit right after the death of a parent. There's a lot of stuff, and he himself by himself had to take care of. So the one thing he does is he plays Melee really well. He streams, makes content too, but there comes a point where you need to really start to consider to yourself what matters to the most, right? So
okay, so can you tell me your name? Your current Melee and former Melee gamer tag, what do you do for a living, and who you play in Melee?
Yeah, so my name is Cody Schwab. I play Super Smash Bros. Melee. In Super Smash Bros. I play Fox, and that is currently what I do full time. My tag used to be iBDW. It was an Xbox tag when I was 13, and now I just go by my name, so Cody Schwab.
My goal isn't to be someone in contention for #1.
Oh, what? iBDW takes advantage. Push.
Oh, that's it.
Well,
yeah. Okay.
Stick to the ledge there. Okay.
He wanted him to jump into it. Oh no! That's it.
That's a fair assessment. Ooh, big money. Yeah.
And he's alive.
Nope, not yet.
Wow.
That's gonna do it. Yeah.
Oh my God! Just like that! No way!
Oh, where are you going, Sax? Oh, where are you going? Taking 3 lasers. He just kind of.
I don't think I've ever been cheered for otherwise in any significant capacity.
We're one stock away from something special, folks.
Wow.
He DI'd back throw in. That's an F smash. Not the greatest DI. Oh, no jump and the shine. Wow. Cody with the pop off.
He went berserk.
Oh my God! An iBDW. That was.
Oh my goodness! Oh my God! Cody Schwab! What a trap card! Oh my God! Holy shit! Cody Schwab.
Sports are loved throughout the world for the thrill of competition it provides as players push themselves in the game to levels never seen before, along with a sense of community with fellow fans of the game as we get together to cheer on our favorite players and teams, and of course, the storylines and drama that come with every season and game that shapes players' legacies and are told from generation to generation. As the world entered the internet and social media age, so did sports, giving birth to esports, where players competed against each other in video games to seek the thrill, a sense of community, and etch their names in history as some of the best to play their respective video game. Like anything that gets popular, there were skeptics, haters, and doubters, so it was not surprising that there was a decent amount of people who try to discredit esports as not being a real sport. But that's doing esports a huge disservice, as they are much closer to normal sports than you would think. There's no esport that embodies and represents what traditional sports stand for more than Super Smash Bros. Melee for the Nintendo GameCube. The Super Smash Bros. Melee scene, or the Melee community, is home to passionate players who constantly push themselves and the game to its absolute limit, breaking controllers and risking permanent damage to their hands. Melee at its core is the purest version of traditional sports. It was built on a community of friends getting together and competing in their homes. Everyone was looking out for one another, tournaments always offering to fly out players, offering rides to events across the country, and letting players stay at their homes for nothing in return. These players gave birth to iconic moments and sayings that live on in the soul of the community to this very day. Stuff like,
Smash. And now, oh, Zoom. Happy feet. Wombo combo. That ain't Falco. That ain't Falco. Oh! Where you at? Oh!
Forward smash him. Disgrace him.
Chillin'. You have anything you want to say to the people?
Maybe.
Wow. Jump start. We're not getting a 4-stock, are we? Leffen, are you going to go out like this? And the crowd cheering for a 4-stock. This could be it. This is it! Oh! 4-stock! Is this man the truth?
the energy of the tournaments, the crowds, and the players created a rich competitive esports scene that has been going strong for over 23 years. But to understand the Melee competitive scene, we need to go all the way back to 1999. The Super Smash Bros. Franchise is one of Nintendo's golden gooses, a series of platform fighting games that started all the way back in 1999 on the Nintendo 64 and has been released on every single Nintendo console up to 2018, with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate on the Nintendo Switch. It was a fresh new take on the fighting game formula, because unlike your typical 2D fighting games from the early 90s, like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, you couldn't just deplete your opponent's health to zero and call it a day. You had to rack up damage and try to knock them out of the stage, like a WWE wrestler trying to throw an opponent out of a ring. Every time you knock your opponent off the stage, they lose a life, also known as a stock. A winner is determined when a player manages to reduce the other player's stocks to zero. This was a smash hit with audiences of all ages and became a beloved Nintendo crossover featuring 16 iconic Nintendo characters such as Mario, Link, and Pikachu. And as the years went on, each new Smash game got larger in scope, with new popular characters such as Pac-Man, Sonic, Sora, and Steve, with the latest Smash game boasting a massive roster of 89 playable fighters, making Super Smash Bros. One of the largest crossovers of all time and the biggest video game crossover in history. Normally, when a new fighting game comes out, the competitive and casual player base for the old game dies, as there are new mechanics to explore and a lot of new characters to play with. This was not the case with the second Smash game, Super Smash Bros. Melee, because with every new Smash release after Melee, not only would Melee remain relevant, it would go as far to surpass the latest Smash games in popularity at times over the past 23 years. This was all due to Melee's fast-paced gameplay and electrifying combo game, which kept players coming back for more, and no one represented this better than arguably the best character in the game. Standing on top of the Melee throne, and the poster child of what Melee stands for, is none other than Fox McCloud from the Star Fox series. He's a disgustingly fast character, he's got a filthy combo game, and some of the most consistent kill options in the game. Fox quickly became the most beloved character in Melee and used by thousands of players to compete at the highest level. With Fox being widely considered the best character in the game if fully optimized, and the large Fox player base that was growing with every passing day, the 20XX prophecy was born, where Melee players half joked and predicted that in the future, Melee would become so optimized that no one would play anyone but Fox. Matches were so close that they had to be decided by rock, paper, scissors on who gets controller port priority to determine who wins the tie. Despite the prophecy of 20XX, no one has ever been able to solo main Fox and be #1 in the world. Though the days of 20XX have yet to come, the scrolls foretold of one player who would rise up and be not only the best Melee player in the world, but be the first person to do so by just playing Fox.
Yeah, so my name is Cody Schwab. I played Super Smash Bros. Melee. In Super Smash Bros., I play Fox, and that is currently what I do full time. My tag used to be iBDW. It was an Xbox tag when I was like 13, and now I just go by my name, so Cody Schwab.
So what was your first introduction to Smash, and was Melee your first Smash game?
I got introduced to Smash pretty much when it came out, when Melee specifically came out, so I would have been around 6 at the time. I don't remember exactly when I got it, but I do remember unlocking all the characters over and over again, deleting the file, doing it again because it was just really fun. I actually do have one of my original memory cards still, and I can tell because I have a bunch of achievements unlocked from like the night it came out, and then there's like a 15-year gap or something, and then it comes back to when I guess I started professional Melee again. So I'd have to find that somewhere, but I still have it. So my cousin and I used to play multiple different Smash games. When we were younger, I would always beat him in Melee, and then he would always beat me in Brawl, but I would always be like, oh, it doesn't matter, you're not good because Brawl's just shit. It's not a good game. And even then, I think I would specifically say to my friends, I'm like, Brawl's just slow and floaty. And they're like, no, it's not. I'm like, yes, it is. It's definitely really slow and floaty. But obviously, we know now why I felt that way. And then my cousin actually started with Project M as well. And he became really good. He was like maybe the best Sonic after Wizzy. His tag was Rusty Pan. Maybe some people know him from old PM days. And because he got good at PM, he got good at Melee. And at that time, I think he was playing Falcon, if I remember correctly. We'd later switch to Puff, but I think he was playing Falcon at the time. No, he was playing Puff, and then he would switch to Falcon. And he just started beating me in Melee, and I was very unhappy. I was like, wait, this is my game. You're not supposed to beat me in this.
Cody Schwab was born on January 15th, 1995, to his parents and older sister in a small home in Rochester, New York. Cody was no stranger to struggle. He persevered through difficult situations growing up: poverty, absent parents, and being surrounded by people abusing drugs and alcohol created a chaotic environment for Cody. Some people deride video games as a distraction, but for Cody, video games were the perfect distraction from the chaos of his everyday life. It was the one constant in his life that was always there for him no matter what, and helped him immensely when his parents abandoned him in 9th grade, leaving Cody to finish out the rest of his freshman year staying with his best friend, before he was taken in by his grandparents. After moving in with his grandparents, Cody finally had some stability in his life, being able to focus on studying and making friends like most kids his age, instead of worrying about the police showing up to his house or if there was anything to eat outside of raw cookie dough. As Cody got older and graduated high school, his taste in video games changed as well, leaving Smash behind and focusing on playing popular video games such as Halo and Call of Duty, allowing him to connect with more people and make friends in college. Little did Cody know, a game from his past would help him connect with an amount of people he couldn't possibly imagine. It all started when one day, Cody hung out with his cousin Rusty Pan, who he had played Melee with growing up, and he showed Cody a documentary that had been making the rounds on the internet. The Smash Bros. Documentary, uploaded in February 2014, was a pivotal moment in Melee's history. The doc went viral, showing off what was at the time an underground community that was going through its own dark age, that had a compelling storyline with an interesting cast of characters that the gaming community at large was mostly unaware of. This doc, and the game that its story was built on, gripped Cody and convinced him into taking Melee a bit more seriously. No people were more gripping than the 5 gods of Melee, the gods of the community. The 5 players known to dominate all of the events that they went to were Armada, the Swedish Sniper, Hungrybox, the Clutch Box, Mango, the Kid, Mewtwo King, the Frame Perfect Robot, and PPMD, the Surgeon. The 5 gods sat on their thrones atop their own Mount Olympus of Melee, a breed all of their own. At events where gods were in attendance, only gods could slay gods, and mere mortals had no hope of drawing their blood. This wouldn't scare potential new players away, Rather, it inspired waves of new players to attempt to reach the gods and dethrone them. These new Melee players who entered the community after watching the Smash Bros. Documentary were often either middle schoolers or high schoolers, giving birth to the term Doc Kids. The arrival of Doc Kids and the return of old veterans saved Melee from its dark age and ushered in the golden age of Melee, saving it from being phased out by the newer Smash games. Cody was one of these Doc Kids and would be inspired to try and compete in Melee.
I think for the documentary, again, the stories of the people captivated me more than the moniker or anything itself. I appreciated the way that their story was told. Even if people say it wasn't exactly accurate, you're never going to capture someone exactly accurate. That's almost impossible to do. But the way that the players were drawn up, again, not by moniker or anything else, but by their experiences and how they overcame adversity, which is something that I always look to for inspiration, because I feel like I've had some tough breaks in life. I've had some great breaks. I've had some tough breaks, and so having that to look up to is always really helpful for me. And seeing, kind of a lot of stuff that he had to work through, a lot of the mental barriers, especially that he had, and seeing him kind of come out on top with a very, what I would call deliberate Melee play style, which I like a lot. I like deliberacy in Melee play, was just, to some extent, it was definitely inspiring to me, and I appreciated it a lot, and I liked the way he carried himself.
After being shown the Melee documentary by his cousin, Cody started practicing in Melee's training mode, practicing for at least 3 hours a day, attempting to emulate the technical skills shown off by the gods in the documentary. It was all that Cody could do at the time. Due to living in Rochester and going to college full-time, Cody was unable to get practice against actual human players in New York City, which had a massive Melee scene with several locals and regional tournaments, but it would require 6 hours just to drive there. For now, Cody had to settle practicing by himself or using Anther's Ladder, an online Smash matchmaking website used to practice against other players online through the use of Dolphin Netplay. After practicing for a couple of months, Cody was able to pull off some advanced tech skills consistently, and his schedule had changed to accommodate trips to New York City. Cody was now ready to begin competing in Melee tournaments. Unlike most Doc Kids, Cody was an outlier as he started his Melee career late, being 21 years old and in college, but this wouldn't deter Cody at all, as he still wanted to see if he could reach the same skill level as the 5 gods of Melee and climb the top 100 official rankings for Melee, known as SSBM rank. But before Cody could even think about doing that, he first had to become the best Melee player in New York.
So my first real local, let me try to think back on this. My first tournament, if we include a school tournament, I went to a school tour after I've been playing for a bit, and I actually got third. So it was just a local school tournament, so there weren't that many great players. But it was a nice introduction to it for me, and it kept me going. I don't know if I could have dealt with going to it at the time. My first local in upstate, I actually did manage to go 4-2, and that was about 3 months into playing. But at the time, I had put so much time into, and this is how I coach people early on, to tech skill and punish game. The 2 things I tell people every time when they start: you got to learn this. You can't play the game without it. And especially at that time, people didn't have an understanding of how powerful those tools were. And so I got 9th in my first local, going 4-2, and I started winning them about 6 months in. And then 9 months in, I went to my first regional, and a good representation of, I guess, the anomaly that I was at the time, and not by skill, but the way I approached the game, which is why I got good so quickly. Because I played Junebug, who most of you know for his Donkey Kong now. But at the time, he was a Sheik player and one of the best PM players in the world. Probably the best at that time. And I remember he said after the set, I lost, but it was 2-0. But he said after the set, when we started playing, he said he sat down and he saw me play neutral for 2 seconds. And he was like, okay, this guy has no idea what he's doing. This is going to be easy. But then I touched him, and he took 80%. And he was just like, what the hell just happened? Why did I take 80%? This guy has no idea what he's doing. And he's like, yeah, I was just lucky, whatever. So I want to take the stock, and then he comes back. And on the next stock, again, no idea what I'm doing. It looks like I'm a complete scrub. But then I get another hit, and then he takes 90%. And he was just dumbfounded. He didn't understand what was happening. He said that was the first experience he had with a punish game monster, where someone just came in and absolutely killed him off a touch, but had no idea what they were doing. And it was a very jarring experience. And afterwards, he was talking to me about it. And years down later, obviously, we would laugh about it. But that's kind of how I tried to get really good at the game really quickly. And so it let me get better than other people did at first, not because of natural skill, but just the way my brain works. This is what I wanted to work on. And it was just a because I was able to sit there and have the attention span because I liked it, to combo a computer for 3 hours and just work on that, look at a VOD, see what I wanted to do, and replicate it. And no one else was really doing that at the time, especially not without Uncle Punch 28XX, which we have now. I did not think I was hot shit, though, believe it or not. I still got mad when I lost, but I went in not expecting to win. I did not expect to win. I didn't expect to just shit on everyone. At least not to my recollection. Maybe I'm completely full of shit and did, but I don't believe that's how I felt.
Cody improved at a very fast rate, spending the rest of the year attending as many regionals and locals, placing well enough where he started getting payouts, and 2016 was much of the same. But Cody would use his winnings from locals and leftover student loan money to fund trips to tournaments outside of New York, as well as to get more practice against better players. Cody made the most out of the opportunities given to him, having multiple practice sessions and asking pro players for feedback and advice. It wouldn't be long before Cody saw the fruits of his labor, placing fairly well for a new player at the majors he attended that year, placing 33rd out of 940 players at Super Smash Con 2016 and 49th out of 989 at Shine 2016. With a solid 2016 behind him, Cody began 2017 by entering Smash Valley 5, a small regional Melee tournament at State College, Pennsylvania, featuring old veterans such as Chillin' Dude, Lucky, and Smash God, as well as young and up-and-coming players such as Cody and Ginger were looking to start making a name for themselves. Cody found himself in losers early after losing to Bones, but this wouldn't faze him, as he started to go on a small losers run. In losers round 5, Cody ran into another up-and-coming player like himself. Just like Cody, Zain was a doc kid and got into competitive Melee fairly late when he was in college back in 2014. But unlike Cody, Zain would gravitate to a different character that he found cool, Fox's greatest enemy, Marth. Like Cody, Zain was a student of the game, practicing religiously in Melee's training mode by himself, practicing Touch of Death combos on Fox on Final Destination, attending as many Maryland and Virginia Melee tournaments near him, and pushing Marth to levels never seen before. Once Zain started to compete seriously in 2015, armed with a strong mentality and his family supporting his passion, it was a surprise to no one when Zain cracked the Melee Top 100 as the 66th best player in the world. The allure of the #1 ranking for Melee brought these two together in Pennsylvania, attempting to get better with every tournament until they were good enough to reach the Melee Summit. Zain quickly took a commanding 2-0 lead, on the verge of ending Cody's run at Smash Valley 5. But Cody wouldn't go down without a fight, as he came back, winning games 3 and 4, forcing a game 5. Unfortunately, Zain finished getting the download on Cody and made quick work of him like most Foxes he played against, 3-stocking Cody on Final Destination and eliminating him from the tournament.
I played Zain at Smash Rally 5, and I just had a funny feeling that it was not going to be the last time I played him. And that sounds obvious, but I meant that in a very sincere way, where I figured this is someone I'm going to have to play a lot at some point. And I knew, just based off the trajectory, and I could tell based off the mental that he had, that he was going to go very far. And I had probably a lot of catching up and a lot of learning to do, because I felt that his approach to competition was much healthier than mine. And that would, if not for game skill, just for straight approach, would take him a lot further than I could have gone at the time. So I knew that we would have probably a lot of sets if I kept playing, and I kept trying to improve at the rate that I wanted to. So we went in, and I think he took the first 2 games, and then I believe the set is on YouTube somewhere. You might be able to find it still. It was a side stream. And then I won 2 games, and then I lost game 5 at FD. It was a pretty convincing game 5. I don't think it was super close, but it was a pretty good introduction, I guess, to our first time playing.
Cody ended 2017 by joining Zain on SSBM rank, placing 84th on the 2017 SSBM rank and graduating college at the same time. With a degree in hand and a controller in the other, Cody started attending more tournaments and flying out to more majors, while working at a law firm to cover expenses. Cody started 2018 on the other side of the country at Genesis 5 in Oakland, California. The Genesis Tournament Series is regarded as one of the biggest Smash tournaments, not only in attendee size, but its history, and how much winning one improves a Smash player's legacy. Genesis 5 continued the trend with 1,365 attendees, along with being one of the last few times that 4 of the 5 gods were in attendance, giving Cody the opportunity to face off against one of the gods for the first time in pools.
Play Mango when he's playing this girl.
Mango's playing amazing. I really don't see Taj beating him. A pocket controller, dog. A pocket controller. Forfeit. My
his kill. No, can't keep him out there. It's knocked him out. He's taking his shirt off. His shirt's in the crowd.
Outside of being one of the 5 gods, Mango is the best Falco player of all time and has been Melee's best player several times. He is also praised for being the only Melee player to be dominant throughout multiple eras of Melee. Cody had the opportunity to make waves here and make a name for himself in the Melee community. Everyone would be talking about him if he could manage to take down Mango. But Cody wouldn't even get the chance to take in the moment that he had got into a level where he could reach the gods, because within 5 minutes, the set was over 2-0. It was another day in the office for Mango as he continued his winner's run, while Cody was sent to losers and eliminated shortly after.
I don't remember too much about going into the event for Genesis 5. It wasn't super memorable for me. It was probably my best major to that time by a pretty substantial margin. But I don't remember too much about what explicitly I was thinking. I do remember going into the Mango set that obviously, like most people, I was like, oh, I get to play Mango. Fucking awesome. That's something I've wanted to do for my entire career. And he beat me pretty badly game 1, and game 2 was much, much closer. It was just a last stock stadium game, if I remember correctly. Maybe it was a high percent 2 stock. I want to say it was last stock. But wasn't really competitive overall. Didn't have much of a chance to win at that point in time. It was a cool experience, but I didn't think much of it past that. I didn't think like, oh, I'm going to beat this guy one day. I was like, okay, awesome. Move on and then do my best in bracket. I felt like I was always pretty realistic about where I was at the time, skill-wise. I knew who I was going to beat and who I was going to have to work really hard to beat. So around end of 2018, 2019, I was like, I could beat Hungrybox, but I couldn't beat a lot of the other top 10. And I knew that because of my Puff skill. But I never thought that I was a top 10 player at that point or a top 20 player like in 2018. That never really crossed my mind. So I didn't go in expecting much.
To one day beat and understand a god's playstyle, Cody went to one of the 5 gods for guidance. A couple of months after Genesis 5, on March 19th, 2018, Cody reached out to Armada and paid him to analyze his grand final set against his local bracket demon, Rishi. Armada gave Cody detailed notes and pointers in how to approach the Marth matchup. Cody soaked it all up like a sponge and began putting Armada's advice to use immediately, because the next time Cody saw Rishi, it wouldn't be Cody getting eliminated this time, as Cody's hard work and listening to Armada paid off, as he eliminated Rishi 3-0 at Gemini Losers Finals. After Gemini, Cody had some of his highest placements at regional and monthly tournaments for the next couple of months, along with his best Super Major performance at Super Smash Con 2018. Finishing 13th out of 1,053 players. But unfortunately, after Super Smash Con 2018, Melee had to take a bit of a backseat for Cody, as he had personal matters he had to attend to. Cody started law school for the fall 2018 semester and had less time to spend grinding Melee. However, Cody's impressive 2018 run did not go unnoticed, as he was signed by Mentality Esports, who were willing to help pay for Cody's travel and entry fees to major tournaments. While things were looking up for Cody as he now had an esports team sponsoring him and supporting his Melee endeavors, shortly after signing with Mentality Esports, Cody's grandfather's health worsened. While taking care of his grandfather in the hospital, Cody attempted to juggle law school and try to support himself through Melee. Repping an esports organization for the first time, Cody did not disappoint, because a few weeks after signing, Cody won his first monthly, Apollo 15. This was a much-needed win that couldn't have come at a better time, as Cody was doubting if he could still compete in Melee while going to law school. His Apollo 15 win gave him confidence that he could make it work out, until it didn't. As Cody's personal life spiraled completely out of control, Cody's grandfather's health was getting worse with every passing day, as the peaceful and normal life that Cody had grown accustomed to over the last couple of years began to crumble before his very eyes. On top of all of this, while trying to take care of his grandfather, Cody came down with pneumonia, which normally leaves many people bedridden and stuck at home, but Cody wasn't even given that luxury, as his home was filled to the brim with bed bugs. The cracks in the surface of Cody's life finally gave way to deep fissures, as on top of all of these issues at home and his personal life, this all happened during his law school finals week. With his entire life in chaos, Cody felt compelled to drop out of law school to try and pick up the pieces of his life one step at a time. With no more law school, Cody looked to Melee as an outlet for all of his pain and suffering, practicing as hard as he could and playing in as many tournaments as he could to support himself financially, as he could not work a normal job due to lingering stomach problems. All of Cody's hard work during this stretch paid off on December 22nd, 2018, where he won his first regional Melee tournament at NYXL Pop-Up.
So NYXL was my first big regional win. That would have happened at the end of December, and it happened right after I dropped out of law school. So this is a pretty big moment for me, both mentally and for Melee, because it gave me a way to provide for myself in a very rough time. But it was my first big regional win, and I beat the Swooper, 2 Saint, Hugs, Hacks, and then for the first time Swedish. Swedish was the only tri-state player I hadn't beat at that point in a row without dropping a set. I believe I might have 3-0'd Swedish, actually. Maybe it was 3-1. I don't remember offhand. But it was a pretty dominant tournament performance. It was the first time a lot of people heard of me. I remember PPMD for the first time said, oh, wow, this guy, like, he's actually really good. I enjoyed watching him, and that meant a lot to me, obviously, because I looked up to PP unlike every other person who watched the doc when I was starting.
Cody would not only be recognized by PPMD for his great play in 2018, because with his NYXL pop-up win and multiple tournament wins in the tri-state area, Cody improved his SSBM rank from last year by jumping up 50 spots, all the way to the 34th best player in the world, and finished as New York's best Melee player. 2019, on the other hand, was not so pleasant towards Cody, as shortly after attending Genesis 6 at the start of the year, Cody's grandfather passed away a few days later. With his grandfather's passing, Cody's relationship with his grandmother changed drastically.
Yeah, my grandmother had issues, but I think she was kept in check by my grandfather, and my grandfather's alive. My grandfather's the one person in my life that I know always had my best interest. He's the person like I am most thankful for. And it's funny because everyone always said he was cold and unloving. I'm like, no, he definitely loves all of us. It's just he shows it differently. I think he might have also had ASD now that I look back on it, based on the fact that, one, everyone always said, oh, you're so like your grandfather, you're so like your grandfather. But two, the limited facial expressions, but the fact that I understood all of them very well. I think that probably made more sense. Very successful attorney, but again, only person I knew that had my best interest the entire time.
Cody and his grandmother had a massive fight about his future, leading to her kicking Cody out and demanding Cody give her his car. Otherwise, the cops would be called on him. All of this led to Cody taking what little things he had and begin living on his aunt's couch as he tried to figure out the next steps of building his life back up. Since the second half of 2018, Cody had been using Melee as an outlet to try and cope with all the pain and issues in his life, but with the loss of his beloved grandfather, losing everything he owned, and becoming homeless, Cody relied on Melee even more as an escape.
Oh yeah, Melee was the biggest escape I had for a very long time, again, which is why I got so mad when it wasn't going well, or I got so dejected, because it was the only thing I had for quite some time. Again, early on, I had a lot of out-of-game issues that manifested in the game. And Melee, definitely, if you have something wrong with you, Melee is going to force it to come out if you're competing. That's just the way the game works. It's the way competition works in general.
Cody started traveling outside of the country to improve his Melee skill, and it wasn't before long where he'd find himself in Sydney, Australia on March 3rd, 2019, where Cody would attend and win his first international tournament at Phantom 2019, defeating top players such as Spud and SFAT. Unfortunately, Cody's celebration wouldn't last long, because a couple of hours after winning Phantom 2019, Cody was left without a sponsor as Mentality Esports shut its doors. But when one door closes, another opens, as Cody was given a much-deserved break a couple of days later when the esports team Polar Ace signed Cody on March 9th, 2019, giving him some much-needed stability during a chaotic phase of his life. With a new sponsor backing him, Cody traveled to Wisconsin to attend the Smash and Splash 5 Major. Cody did not disappoint his new team, as Smash and Splash 5 was the first time that Cody made some noise on one of Melee's biggest stages. When Cody came face to face against Hungrybox, one of the 5 gods in Winners Round 2. At the time, Hungrybox was a god amongst gods, as he was Melee's most dominant player, coming off his second year in a row being the #1 player and in the middle of a strong start of making it potentially 3 years in a row. With any sort of sport or competition, when a player or team rises to dominance, most fans get tired of seeing them win and start rooting for them to fail. So it was no surprise that people got tired of seeing Hungrybox win most of the tournaments from 2017 to 2019. And on top of all of that, Hungrybox's character, Jigglypuff, is believed to be one of, if not the lamest characters in Melee. What most people love about Melee is that characters are up in your face with fast, hard-hitting combos and being very technical in nature. Jigglypuff was the complete opposite, floating in the air and off stage, not wanting to approach the opponent, and being very defensive in nature, along with being one of the easiest characters to pick up and learn, often left the audience, and sometimes the players, frustrated trying to tear down the Berlin Wall of Melee. People were begging and pleading for someone to take Hungrybox down in bracket, to finally make the game fun to watch again, all while saving their beloved game. So it was no surprise for the first time in Cody's career, this happened.
Really runs away.
Yeah, he's going for the stuff there, but he couldn't rest.
Yeah, he can't rest now.
That's it. Pending Smash DI, which HBox did not get.
Yep.
Cody traded games and stocks with Hungrybox, and before he knew it, he had managed to push Hungrybox to a Game 5. The cheers grew louder for Cody, and they popped off with him, as in the eyes of the general Melee community, someone had come out of nowhere and was pushing the best player in the world to his absolute limits. But unfortunately for the crowd, and despite Cody putting up a valiant effort, Hungrybox won Game 5 with a convincing 2-stock, sending Cody to losers.
I lost to HBox Game 5. That was my first time ever playing Hungrybox, actually. And if anyone watched me coming up, you knew that the first thing I'd always say was, I can beat HBox. I know he's the best player in the world. Let me play HBox. I will beat him. And after that set, that kind of confirmed in my head. I'm like, okay, I can beat you. I know what you're about. And I said to the person I was living with at the time, I said, next time I play HBox, I'm beating him. I know that for a fact. Just give me him one more time. It was a very, very close set. And I remember Armada messaged me after the set, and he said, you had him next time before Game 5? Take a second. You rushed in, and in the second you rushed in, I knew you lost. He said you needed to take a second after you clutched because HBox is going to beat you there right now. You don't have the experience he does. I was like, okay, I can keep that in mind. And that's something I've kept in my mind, is taking that second when you need to for the rest of my career.
After falling to losers, Cody found himself meeting the God Slayer in round 7. Leffen is known in Melee for being the God Slayer, as he was the first player to beat each one of the gods in tournament back in 2014. Outside of his success in Melee, Leffen has been a high-level player in multiple fighting games such as Guilty Gear Strive, Dragon Ball FighterZ, and many more.
And then I remember I played Leffen, and he beat me 3-0, and none of the games were... They all felt like if I could play amazingly, I could win, but it showed me that my play style was going to get capped. Even if I felt like I could have won those games, I could tell that he wasn't playing his best either, and if he was, I had no chance of winning. And so I had to go back and really watch that and understand, okay, why did this feel possible? Because clearly he's showing me that it's not just a few options. My overall playstyle, my understanding of the game is not sufficient to where I can take that next step yet. They are just better. And that was a catalyst for me to improve. One of the things that I think I did better than a lot of people was I was willing to say, I am not good enough. This set was not a matter of me playing poorly. Even if I played well, it wouldn't be consistent. This is not good enough right now, and I need to do fundamentally better in my understanding of the game. And that was pretty big for me.
Unfortunately, Leffen was no stranger to slaying mere mortals like Cody, and made quick work of the young Fox player 3-0, as Cody ended Smash and Splash 5 with his highest placement at a major at 9th place. Once Smash and Splash 5 concluded, Melee fans were excited to see the new young and emerging star in Cody, and hoped to eventually see him on Melee's biggest stage at Smash Summit 8. The Smash Summit Tournament Series is one of, if not the most prestigious Melee tournaments of all time, hosted twice a year by the Beyond the Summit team in Los Angeles, California. At every Smash Summit, 16 players are invited to try and reach the top of the Melee Summit. The 10 best players are automatically invited due to placing higher in other major tournaments or due to being the best of the best. The other 6 players are crowdfunded through fans donating cash or using votes from buying Beyond the Summit merchandise. If a player isn't able to get crowdfunded, they must play in a qualifying tournament. Cody wasn't able to earn a high enough placement at the Smash Summit 8 qualifying tournaments. His only option left was to get crowdfunded. Cody, remembering the people's chants back in his set at Smash and Splash 5, instantly knew how to get people to crowdfund him for Smash Summit 8. Cody swore to the entire Melee community that he'd avenge his loss at Smash and Splash 5 and beat Hungrybox. This resonated with a lot of Melee players at the time, because 2019 was the 3rd year in a row that Hungrybox was dominating Melee as the best player in the world. The hate for Hungrybox was so bad that someone threw a literal crab at him for winning Pound 2019. Just like that, Cody had punched his ticket in flight to Smash Summit 8. Despite getting into Smash Summit 8, the celebration wouldn't last long. Reality, as it often does, would crash in. One is forced to reckon with the fact that, despite the windfall they had experienced making it to the summit, it did little to change the fact that he had been homeless for 6 months and was reaching a breaking point. It was either make a living off of Melee, or quit Melee and give in to his grandmother's demands to go back to law school.
My grandmother had a very staunch view on how I should live my life. And I was not allowed to break away from that. Whether or not that was intentional or not, or whether or not she was aware of that, that is how I was pretty much raised. I had to follow this path. If I didn't, it wasn't good enough. And at the time, I didn't have another place to go. I had just gotten done with being homeless for 6 months because of a fight that we had gotten into, and I was not able to live with her at the time. It was during a time when my grandfather passed away, and she pretty much went off the deep end and ran me out of the house. It is what it is. It happens. Life happens. So I was living for a while on just my aunt's couch, and I was dealing with my own health issues at the time, so I wasn't able to work a normal job. So I had, now I understand, again, undiagnosed autism plus ADHD caused very severe stomach issues. Okay. When you have ASD, you have very heightened senses, and pain becomes very excruciating in certain places. This is just a common symptom. You can look it up. And so it would cause me to be like bedridden for hours at a time. And I wasn't able to work a normal job as a result. So Melee was all I had. But if this didn't work, I was going to have to just suck it up and go back to school. And during Summit 8, I actually went 0-3 in pools. And I was like, it's over. Can't do it. Like, I don't want to be here. This is pointless. Whatever.
After a devastating start to pools, Cody started winners round 1 facing off against S2J, a Captain Falcon main who had consistently been a top 20 player in the world since 2013. On top of all of this, S2J currently held a perfect 3-0 winning record against Cody in bracket. But this time, things were different. Every game was close and went down to last stock. However, Cody closed out each game and got his first win over S2J 3-0, sending him to losers. Winners round 2 had Cody face off against another player he had yet to beat up to this point, Triff, a Spanish Peach player who had beaten top players such as Zain, Mewtwo King, Leffen, and many others. The last and only time Cody played Triff was at Omega 2, where Cody lost 3-1. Unlike Omega 2, their set was very close, going to Game 5 last stock. But unfortunately, history repeated itself and Cody lost, sending him to losers. In Losers Round 1, Cody found himself going up against another up-and-coming Fox player from Canada, Moki. Just like Triff and S2J before him, Cody had not beaten Moki before, losing his only set against him at Emerald City 2-1. Cody and Moki traded blows with one another, finding themselves tied at 2 apiece. However, it was Cody who came out on top in Game 5, eliminating Moki 3-2. Next, Cody faced off against one of his biggest bracket demons. His opponent was none other than one of the 5 gods and the man of the people, Mango. Up to this point, Mango held a perfect 2-0 record against Cody, beating him at Genesis 5 and 6. The odds were stacked against Cody, but then this happened.
Yeah. He can get like a quick 0 to death here. Yeah. Try and get something started.
Oh, double shot, he's dead.
That was
yeah,
really good. Yeah,
Dash attack is so smart.
Yeah. Good stuff.
That ledge option.
That was pretty solid. He did
tell you wanted to good go. DI by Cody. Yeah. Almost every Fox gets hit with that down smash.
Yeah, he DI'd hard away there. That was good.
Oh,
nice. Yeah. Bad DI there.
There it is.
I love when you lower, then he would have had the momentum from the shine and he wouldn't have died from the down air.
Right.
So he has to do it that fast or else he doesn't die. That was really good.
That was crazy.
Okay.
No!
Bro! Bad DI there. Mango couldn't catch it though.
Was late on the down smash.
It was hard to make it.
Gotta get out of the corner though.
Big
So much
combo.
percent. Oh, and he
He's
got
dead.
it.
He's dead.
That's it. iBDW.
iBDW.
Good stuff. WW.
Upset.
He was so good
Major
at punishing like the
upset.
jump back every time with like dash attack or jabs. And then shining him
This was the first time that Cody beat one of the 5 gods in bracket. There was no pop-off, as Cody was still trying to process what he had just accomplished. Cody wouldn't have much time to do so because he'd have to play his next opponent shortly after, a legendary Japanese player, the greatest Yoshi player of all time, and another top 10 player in the world, Amsa. And just like the other players Cody played in brackets so far, Amsa had never lost to Cody, holding a 1-0 record since he beat him off stream at Super Smash Con 2016. Cody continued his breakout Cinderella run and stunned everyone once again, as he made quick work of Amsa, eliminating him 3-0. 2 weeks before Smash Summit 8, Cody lost to Hungrybox in a close 3-2 set at Smash and Splash 5. In losers quarterfinals, Cody had the chance to not only make good on his Summit campaign promise, but also avenge his loss at Smash and Splash 5. Games 1 and 2 were close as the set was tied 1-1, but in Game 3, Cody started off very strong, finding himself up 3 stocks to 1 and did not look back, finishing Game 3 by convincingly 2-stocking Hungrybox, with a dominant Game 3 behind him. Game 4 was much of the same as Cody nearly 4-stocked Hungrybox, eliminating him 3-1. Cody had a massive pop-off as he made good on his promise to everyone who crowdfunded him to be here. Cody was truly having a breakout tournament after having a very slow start. Cody looked to continue his breakout in loser semifinals against Wizrobe, who was coming fresh off of a win at Smash and Splash 5, where he was the first solo Falcon player since Isaiah in 2005 to win a major. Unfortunately, Cody's Cinderella run ended here as Wizrobe eliminated him 3-1 and continued his run all the way to Grand Finals. As Smash Summit 8 concluded, Cody's Melee career was given another chance at life, showing him there was still more room for him to grow, but it wouldn't come without a cost, because 2 months later on August 28, 2019, Cody held contract negotiations with Polar Ace, and unfortunately, both sides couldn't come to an agreement and mutually parted ways, leaving Cody without a sponsor once again. Now without a sponsor, Cody's living situation would change, splitting time begrudgingly in New York with his grandma, and staying with a friend in her 1-studio apartment in California, helping her sell at events in exchange for having his tournament and travel expenses covered. To also make ends meet, Cody focused on streaming as often as possible on Twitch and doing Melee lessons and coaching when he wasn't streaming.
Yeah. So when I moved to California, I was sharing a 1-bedroom, or not a 1-bedroom, a studio apartment with a friend of mine, and I would help her sell at events in exchange for travel there, and then I would have to pay half the rent, but obviously I didn't even have a team at the time. And so Polar Ace, which is the second team that had signed me in and was there during Summit 8, decided they didn't want to pay me anymore. So they dropped me, and then I had to stay in California full-time because I went to Big House 9 where I got reverse 3'd by Mewtwo King. And that tournament I went to, and my grandmother said, by the way, she wasn't religious at all. We hadn't done a holiday in 10 years, and I'm not religious. But if I went because it was either, I think it was Rosh Hashanah, Jewish holiday, if I went, that was it. I didn't have a home anymore. And I was like, you know what? Fuck you. Like, and so I moved back to make sure that the house was safer so that she wouldn't get more money stolen from her. And then when she did that, when I went to Big House, I was like, all right, that's it. And then my friend was just like, just move it with me. I was like, awesome, cool. And we wound up doing that arrangement. So I would sub-goal for food, do Patreon for rent, and then help her sell pretty much every spare moment I had at an event in exchange for travel and hotel. And that was how I made Melee work for the first year or so, which is also why that tournament, I was particularly like eye-rolly and upset because I had pretty much just gotten kicked out of my house. And this was the only thing I could do.
After Smash Summit 8, Cody's luck slowly started turning around. Early in the year, Cody traveled down to Laurel, Maryland to attend one of its biggest tournaments, the Script Episode 2. Cody needed a place to stay, and he'd get an invitation from a familiar face, Zain, who was in the middle of taking a gap year to focus on Melee after graduating college, was knocking on the door of being top 5 in the world, invited players to his house to play friendlies and get as much practice as possible, Cody being one of them. Cody happily accepted Zain's offer and made the most out of it. After hours upon hours of grinding, Not only did Cody go back home to New York as a better player, he had a friend in Zain, and a couple of months later, at the end of August, Zain became a regular practice partner for Cody as he streamed their online matches on Twitch. Adding to Cody's streak of good luck, Cody's dad reached out to him for the first time in nearly a decade, wanting to patch things up and have a relationship with him again.
So when I was in California, me and the friend had a falling out, and pretty much I had briefly called, or my dad had emailed me because his sixth wife, or seventh wife, I don't know at this point, my second stepmother, who actually played a very large role in kind of helping me develop as a person, especially the past 3 years, encouraged him to reach out and said, "You guys stop being scared. Like, you got to reach out to your kid. That's your kid. It's your fucking responsibility to reach out to him, talk to him." And eventually, he reached out to me enough that I felt comfortable confiding him what's going on. And my dad and stepmother was like, and pretty much his stepmother was like, "Go live at my place. Just go back, live there." And then that was the start of me kind of, because they were living together at my dad's house. And that was the start of me having a relationship with my dad again.
After having a rough start to 2019, things were starting to look up for Cody in both his personal life and his Melee career, as his efforts were rewarded by cracking the top 10 as the 9th best player in the world. As the calendar turned to 2020, Cody picked up from where he left off by having his best performance at a Genesis tournament at Genesis 7, placing 13th and following it up with a second place finish at Saving Mr. Lombardi, qualifying him for a spot at Smash Summit 9. At Smash Summit 9, Cody was looking to build upon his 4th place finish at Smash Summit 8. In order to help him reach his goal of not only winning his first major, but a Smash Summit, Cody enlisted the help of one of the 5 gods.
Forward smash him! Disgrace him!
Oh, wow,
okay, that was...
Oh my God! I can't believe he got that! I can't believe he got that! Sniper strike again! Oh, what nice spacing! Armada, are you real? Armada,
After retiring from Melee at the top of his game in 2018, one of the 5 gods and in discussions for the GOAT of Melee, Armada re-entered the world of Melee 2 years after his retirement, not as a player, but as a mentor and coach to Cody. With Armada in his corner, Cody was confident to put his newfound knowledge and skills to the test. Cody saw the effects of Armada's coaching early because unlike his last Summit run, Cody won some sets and pools, beating high-level players such as Bobby Big Balls, Wizrobe, and Spark. But even with Armada's coaching, Cody lost pool sets to none in a close 3-2 set, and once again to Zain. Despite going positive in pools this time around, Cody once again started in the loser side of bracket, which was no problem for Cody, as he went on to have a small losers run and beat Leffen and Hack's Money on his way to a rematch with Zain in losers quarterfinals, where the first time in 2 years, Cody pushed Zain to a Game 5. Unfortunately, Cody couldn't get over the hump and did not get his first win over Zain, finishing his run at Smash Summit 9 at 5th place. Disappointed with his 5th place finish and still not being able to defeat Zain, Cody had already marked his calendar for the next major to get another chance at Zain. However, Cody might not get a chance to do so, as Smash Summit 9 was the last Melee tournament for the foreseeable future due to an event that changed the world as we knew it.
Melee was in a pretty interesting place, and I think we were definitely heading towards a shift in the landscape of who was becoming a top player. A lot of people were coming up. Moki was getting really good. Of course, I had just been ranked top 10. Zain was really starting to potentially make a claim as best player in the world. So you were seeing a pretty drastic shift in the competitive landscape at the time. And then obviously COVID hits and we're like, uh-oh. And keep in mind, when COVID hit at first, we didn't have Slippi. So we had Pound online for 2020. We played it on delay-based netcode. And I just remember I lost to Bones on Fox Falco on 13 buffer or 13 delay, which is not 13 buffer on Slippi. It's probably like 4.5 or 3.5. And it was just not fun. It was not the vibe at all. And then I played Swedish and I beat him, but it was like cheese. Or maybe I lost him. I don't remember. I blocked that tournament in my head. I remember I even overslept because it didn't even cross my mind that I had to consider time zones for a tournament, because the time zones were in Eastern, but I had never entered a tournament that was in another time zone than the one I was in. So I like almost overslept and missed it entirely, and I had to compete from someone else's house, and it was just this whole debacle. Zain wound up winning, which is good because I do believe he was the best player at the time.
But it was definitely kind of a moment for a lot of us, I think, where we're like, I don't know what we're going to do now. Like, how long is this going to last for? But I guess we got a gift from God and Fizzy that not like a month or two later.
Due to COVID-19, all Melee tournaments were canceled or put on hold due to social distancing guidelines. The only option left for Melee players was to use Dolphin, a GameCube and Wii emulator that could be ran on PC and Mac, and use its NetPlay feature to play Melee. However, this wasn't a viable option, as even under the best circumstances, there was always going to be lag and it was never going to come close to playing Melee offline, due to Dolphin NetPlay using delay-based netcode. Delay-based netcode delays all players' inputs to make sure that all consoles match and are in sync. This works perfectly fine if you live super close to your opponent, have an Ethernet cable, and have really good and fast internet. Forget having all three conditions, most people don't even have the luxury to have even one. So for most people, whenever you pressed a button or moved your stick, your character wouldn't act instantly. Rather, you'd have to wait a second, or at worst, a full eternity before your game registered your input. Since the start of fighting games, one thing has always remained consistent. Precise input combinations in every single frame matters. The difference between one frame is so massive, not only can it result in you winning or losing a game, to the point that being a frame too early or too late can result in you losing out on winning a potential $23,000 from a tournament. Due to Melee having delay-based netcode, players only wanted to play in person, so there was no risk of lag or delay in deciding an outcome for a tournament. The best example at the time was Pound Online, where many top players decided it was worth enduring the terrible online experience, as there was a massive 5,000 prize pool for the event, which was completely unheard of at the time, as no tournament organizers were willing to invest into such a risky event with low attendance. As expected, the tournament was a disaster. There was massive lag and connection problems in matches, leading to hundreds of frustrated players, Cody being one of them, as his final set was plagued with lag and he was eliminated 3-1. Due to Pound Online and several other online tournaments ending in disaster, the panelists for SSBM rank and the general Melee community agreed that there would be no official rankings until the return of consistent in-person tournaments for a full season. With the future of Melee hanging in the balance and no return to in-person tournaments anytime soon, there were few little rays of light for Cody, as luckily, he found a new esports team to call home on May 5th, 2020. Cody was signed by Panda Global, also known as Panda. Panda was founded by Dr. Allen and David Wu in 2015, but unlike most esports teams, they started in Smash, signing pro players such as MVD, ESAM, Plup, and Zain. While things were looking up for Cody as he was no longer a free agent, little did he know, there was another surprise waiting for him and the rest of the Melee community. On June 22nd, 2020, one man would breathe a new wave of life into Melee. Like how the doc breathed a new life into the game, one man resurrected a community in limbo. After 7 months of working full-time from his home on the project, Fizzy released Slippi Rollback to the public, allowing anyone with a legal copy of Melee to use Slippi Dolphin on their computer to play Melee with one another with near-perfect connection. The Melee community was never the same again. For reference, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, the latest Smash game with a massive developer team and a huge budget, did not have rollback netcode and could hardly muster a barely functioning delay-based netcode. Slippi Rollback was inspired by rollback netcode from other fighting games, which was created in 2008 by Tony Cannon, one of the former founders of EVO, as he was not happy with delay-based netcode in fighting games such as Street Fighter II Hyper Fighting. In a nutshell, rollback netcode is unique and better than delay-based netcode. Instead of delaying inputs to make sure that both consoles are in sync, rollback netcode predicts both you and your opponent's inputs and continues the game without any delay. In the event that rollback netcode doesn't correctly predict your opponent's input, rollback basically goes back in time and rolls back the game to the last known correct state and continues the match. The change is so small, most players wouldn't even be able to tell that the game rolled back at all. With the creation of Slippi Rollback, not only did Melee players have a new way to get good practice from the comfort of their own homes, but it also led to a boom in the online Melee tournament scene. Majors such as Smash Summit 10, Get On My Level 2021, and the LACS series embraced Slippi, providing a better experience for tournament organizers, spectators, and especially the players. Many people benefited from Slippi Rollback. But few enjoyed its benefits more than Cody, as he was able to secure his first online major win at Pound Online 2021 and do well at the Summit Championship League, finishing as one of the top 6 players and as a result, qualify for Smash Summit 11. Despite good things happening for Cody, like getting signed to Panda and getting access to great practice 24/7 with Slippi Rollback, Cody stared in awe of the mountain of possibility provided to him by Slippi.
Oh god, it saved us. So we did at least have Rona Rumble, which would later be Rollback Rumble. That Homemade Waffles, Brandon, I'm just gonna say, I'm not saying Homemade Waffles every time, was running, and that helped a lot because it would get everyone to at least play a few times a week, and it would be region locked, so it wouldn't be that bad. But you weren't gonna play cross country. It was just too small. When Slippi came out, all of a sudden it was like, oh, I'm in California and I can play Zain. That's like mind opening. That's not something like people take cross country net play for granted. That is not something that was possible for most people. Now it's possible for a majority of people. But I wound up moving back to New York anyways, and honestly, East Coast is better for practice, I think, because West Coast, they just don't play as much, or maybe it's not new players. I think it's better now, especially now that JMook's moving out there. So it's not as bad, but at the time it was way better to be on the East Coast. It was hard to get practice on the West Coast. Luckily, Mango had fiber, so he could net play. But once Slippi came out, bro, everyone was just streaming Slippi 10, 12 hours a day. I played so much Melee that year. It was just absolutely grotesque. We had tournaments, like 3 or 4 tournaments a week. We would enter all of them. I entered so many tournaments. It was ridiculous. I wound up doing some ridiculous stuff, like trying to win a tournament while Kalindi, Spark, and Fiction were just in my ear trolling me on Discord. And it was the most mentally taxing thing I've ever done in my life, but it was hilarious. It was, I'll say, a lot of people hated the COVID quarantine era. I loved it. I got to stream. I got to play a bunch of Melee. I was living my absolute best life.
While Cody had gotten a lot better and placed well at online tournaments, there was still something that had been haunting him before the start of the pandemic. Cody could not beat Zain. No matter what he did or tried, he always ended up losing to Zain. Wisdom imparted on him from a god in the form of Armada's coaching could only take him so far. Cody was at the end of his rope and was ready to stop solo maining Fox and pick up Sheik, who was widely considered as a great counter to Marth, to finally get that coveted win over Zain.
I think I'm going Sheik. Okay. Do you want to stop right now, Cody? You want to hop in a call? Yeah, we can hop in a call. Hello?
Yeah.
What's up?
I don't know. Like, I've been trying so hard to make this work for the past year, but it's like every time you pick up a new thing with your punish game, more and more the disparity between your punish game and your ability to just literally, like, and this is just so Chad knows, this is in no way discrediting Zain, because Zain knows I think he's like one of the best players to ever touch the controller, period. I think he's amazing at the game. But in terms of this matchup, it just feels like now with the tech chase, it's like, yeah, sure, I would draw it down in a way at 0 to 8% before I get knocked down. But once I get knocked down, I can't actually I can't stay within slide off percent anymore. Like, now I can't even get the slide off mix up on the platform. And my option to that is to go off stage against Marth. It's like, I don't see any way that I can feasibly make up the disparity in this punish game anymore. And I've tried so freaking hard to do it, but I just want to like talk it through to make sure I'm not like going crazy. And it's again, not to discredit any Marth who does well versus Fox, not to discredit Zain for doing well versus me, because I think in almost all of our sets he has drastically outplayed me. But like, there's just things going on today where it's like, if this is actually what's going to happen, I don't think, like, I spent the last 30 minutes or an hour of our session literally thinking like, how could I ever be the best in the world if I have to deal with this every tournament? I don't see a way that I can make this work. Like, the disparity in the punish game is so massive, and it feels like the only way I can play neutral to make it in a way that it might even be somewhat even is if I go like crazy hard ambiguous between laser camping and going in, and it feels like even if I'm slightly off and give you any Q, I'm f***ed.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, I think it is.
There was always the chance that Cody was just overthinking things, and a return to in-person tournaments would finally help him figure out the Marth matchup and how to beat Zain. So after roughly a year and 3 months since in-person tournaments were shut down, Smash Summit 11 marked the return of in-person tournaments and the chance to put Cody's Fox vs Marth being impossible theory to the test. Cody wouldn't have to wait long to find out what the answer was, as he once again lost to Zain 3-1 in the Gauntlet stage, proving his theory and belief that the Marth matchup was just impossible. Then after losing to Zain, Cody fizzled out of the tournament at 6th place as he was eliminated by Mango, as he went on to meet Zain in Grand Finals. It seemed like Cody's theory was right. He couldn't beat Zain's Marth with Fox and had to switch to Sheik if he wanted to continue to pursue being the #1 player in the world. That's if he could even overcome his 2 biggest bracket demons, Zain and Mango. Character switch or not, the way things currently stood, Cody frustrated with being cemented at 3rd, 4th, and 5th place for the foreseeable future. While Cody didn't have the greatest tournament at Smash Summit 11, he gained something much more valuable than any trophy or prize money. Before Smash Summit 11, many, if not all Fox mains had come to the conclusion that it was impossible to beat Marth if he was optimized by a player like Zain, especially if it was on Final Destination. People in the community had started calling it an automatic free win for Zain. This was because Final Destination, or FD, is a flat static stage, with no transformation or gimmicks like Pokemon Stadium or Fountain of Dreams, and does not have platforms like Yoshi's Story, Dreamland, or Battlefield. The biggest problem with FD for Fox is that there are no platforms to help him safely land, escape combos, or extend his combo game. While Marth's combo game is at its strongest when there are no platforms to interrupt his combos, making it so a skilled Marth player can become the Grim Reaper and with one grab, kill Fox, without there being much for the Fox player to do to stop it. With all of that in mind and going against him, Mango managed to win his first Smash Summit in 10 years and was the first Fox player in nearly 2 years to beat Zain in a tournament, shocking everyone in the entire venue and at home. The last time that Zain lost to a Fox was against Leffen in Smash and Splash 5 back in June 2019. On top of all of this, Mango beat Zain back-to-back on Final Destination. The only other Fox player to have done it was also Leffen at Full Bloom 4 in 2018. With his Smash Summit 11 win, Mango was the torchbearer for Fox mains in showing them that the Marth matchup was not impossible and FD was not a death sentence for Spacey Kind. No Fox player was more inspired by Mango than Cody.
The one thing that's really important about it that was good for me, and I guess one of the reasons I'm happy I lost, is that it did show me. So obviously there was the entire Fox Marth narrative, and I was switching to Sheik. But I saw Mango play, and I'm going to be brutally honest about that set. Zain played like shit. But Mango still won while also not playing his best, with almost no punish game and without ledge dashing. And I saw that and I was like, all right, there's stuff here. Like, I saw how he played around Nair, which was really annoying for me in the matchup. And I knew my punish game was good enough, but he showed me how to make neutral a little bit more reliable. And that was the thing I needed. And so I saw that and I was like, all right, fuck it, let's go. I'll give this a try. You're right, I was being a bitch. And that's something that I think is really important as a competitor, is recognizing, all right, you know what, I was wrong. This matchup might not actually be that bad. I should be more willing to give this another shot. And so I gave it another shot, and that's what convinced me to stay Fox or Marth, and obviously that paid off long term.
The end of Smash Summit 11 was the start of a major turning point for Cody's personal life and Melee career, as Cody met someone who changed his life forever.
I met Emily around the time I won Riptide. No, so initially I met her a year before, so around LECS 3, I believe. I gave her a lesson sometime around then, just in Cheek Fox, and we didn't really talk, and then she moved super close to where I used to live around the time of Riptide, and afterwards, again, very funny because she thought I was hitting on her, and now we understand that I have ASD, and so I just straight up didn't understand that what I was doing looked like I was hitting on her. But I was like, yeah, let's just go and grab a bite to eat. And I was like, I just want a friend. And she was like, I just want a friend. But she was like, oh, this guy's like persistent asking me out. I'm like, no, I just want to go grab ramen. You said there was a good ramen place. I just want to go get food. What's your problem? And then later I was like, oh, I probably just actually don't understand what I'm doing. But we met around then, and then again she realized, she's like, oh, he's actually not hitting on me, he's just a fucking dork and doesn't know what he's doing. Like, yes, that's all I am. That's all anyone should think of me as. I'm not just some asshole, like, whatever. Maybe I'm an asshole, but not like that. And then from there we just started talking, started dating, and she just liked certain aspects about me, and I thought she was just super fucking cool. I liked her. So as it grew, I would say around 2 to 3 weeks, I was like, oh, I actually really like you, sure, we should date.
Cody started getting to know and eventually dating his now girlfriend Emily. She started coaching him on how to improve his mentality and even fix his GameCube controllers. Cody would take Emily's advice to heart and put it to use during his coaching sessions with Armada. 2 months after Smash Summit 11, Cody was given the chance to not only silence all of his doubters, but show everyone how much he has grown at the next Melee Super Major, Riptide 2021 in Sandusky, Ohio. Cody ran through pools and faced off against Crudo, a top Sheik player from Florida in winners quarterfinals. Games 1 and 2 wouldn't be that close as Cody 2 and 3 stocked Crudo. However, Crudo pushed Cody to a close last stock game, before eventually losing 3-0 to Cody. In winter semifinals, Cody was given the chance to avenge his Smash Summit 11 loss to Hungrybox. Cody set the tone early, winning Game 1 by 2-stocking Hungrybox on Battlefield. Hungrybox wasn't phased though, as in Game 2, he took Cody to Dreamland. Game 2 went down to the wire, last stock, last hit, as Cody and Hungrybox traded blow after blow, getting extremely close to killing the other. However, Hungrybox channeled his inner clutch box and won Game 2, and was becoming more powerful with every pop-off he had. Cody counterpicked to Final Destination in Game 3 to try and stop the pop-off fueled Hungrybox from gaining any more steam, and Cody did just that with a convincing 3-stock. With his Game 3 win, Cody was firmly in the driver's seat with a 2-1 lead heading into Game 4. Hungrybox counterpicked to Fountain of Dreams Game 4. He put up a good fight, but Cody came out on top, 2-stocking Hungrybox and had a massive pop-off. Just like with winter semifinals, Cody had another chance to avenge a Smash Summit 11 loss in winners finals, this time against Plup. Plup was a longtime veteran of Melee, competing since 2009, and he made noise during the Five Gods era, as he was one of the few players at the time to win against several gods in bracket. Plup was still very cracked at the game, and was not someone Cody could take lightly. Game 1 took place on Dreamland. Both players started swinging as they traded blows with one another, both down on their last stocks. Plup managed to clutch up and win Game 1. Heading into Game 2, Cody took Plup to Final Destination. Game 2 was no different than Game 1 as it also ended up in a last stock situation, except this time, Cody came out on top. Tied up at 1-1, Plup counterpicked a Battlefield. Unlike Games 1 and 2, Cody had all of the momentum and found himself up 3 stocks to 1, and finished Game 3 by 2-stocking Plup, finding himself with a commanding 2-1 lead, as Cody looked to end the set while Plup was looking to avoid a trip to losers. Game 4 followed Games 1 and 2 in terms of being close, but Plup managed to tie the set at 2 apiece. Game 5, winner gets sent to losers, started off very close, as Cody and Plup were even at 2 stocks, but Cody started to slowly pull away and eventually managed to 2-stock Plup, winning 3-2 and sending Plup to losers. Cody moved on to Grand Finals and was greeted by a familiar face. Grand Finals was a rematch against Plup. Game 1, Cody and Plup picked up from where they left off in Winners Finals, going last stock and to the wire on Dreamland, with Plup gaining a 1-0 lead. Cody once again counterpicked a Final Destination for Game 2, but Cody proceeded to 2-stock Plup while tying up the score 1-1. With the wind on his back, Cody looked to put his foot on the pedal and not look back in Game 3, and he did exactly that as he 2-stocked Plup once again on Battlefield. Plup, with his tournament life on the line, counterpicked a Fountain of Dreams for Game 4. Cody and Plup traded stocks with one another until 3 minutes in when they both had 1 stock left. Cody came in clutch as he managed to read Plup and take his final stock, eliminating Plup and crowning Cody as the Riptide 2021 champion. Cody had finally done it. Thanks to Armada's Melee coaching and Emily's mentality coaching, Cody had completely changed as a player and as a person. He won his first in-person major, and all that blood, sweat, and tears finally paid off, right? Unfortunately, Cody's Riptide win felt hollow, and while there were celebrations, Cody wasn't truly satisfied or happy, because despite winning Riptide 2021, it didn't quell the loud voices of his doubters. If anything, they got louder.
But that felt fucking good because that was also my first real major win. Like, no one could say it wasn't a major. The only thing is people could say, well, 2 best players in the world weren't there, so how much does it really matter? But that was for another day. I was really happy. I got my major win. I'd been through a lot, and I was like, all right, I did it. I proved myself. Like, online wasn't a fluke. Can't just say that anymore. And I'm on a very short list of people that have won a Super Smash Bros. Major, like bona fide major.
Adding to this, the next Melee major after Riptide, Main Stage 2021, was another tournament without Zain and Mango. and Cody had failed to even make top 3 at the event. To most people, it seemed like Cody's Riptide 2021 win was just a fluke and didn't mean much because he couldn't win when the 2 best players were attending. Luckily for Cody, he didn't have to wait too long to get the chance to prove them all wrong. Cody arrived at Smash Summit 12 with a massive chip on his shoulder. He heard all the naysayers chant in unison, "He might have won Riptide, but you still can't win a major with Mango or Zain attending." Cody dominated pools, defeating Tyler Swift, Pipsqueak, and Hungrybox, buying himself a ticket to a match with Leffen in Winners Round 1. Game 1 was very close and went down to the last stock. Game 2, on the other hand, was a completely different story, with Leffen dominating Cody with a 3 stock. Things were not looking good for Cody. Forget winning a major with Zain and Mango in attendance, he couldn't even reach the summit to challenge them. It was starting to look like that maybe Cody's skeptics were right about him. With Game 3 set to begin, and Cody staring at an early trip to losers, he thought about Emily's advice to him before the tournament.
And he was running over me and I went down 2-0. And then all I can remember was like, all right, she told me just to have fun. Just fucking play. Have a good time. Do your best.
Cody roared back, trading blows with Leffen and tying the set up 2 apiece. Game 5, Cody completely turned the tables on Leffen and dominated him, completing the reverse 3-0 and allowing him to move on to winner semifinals, where Cody faced off against Amsa. Amsa was looking to avoid a repeat of his 3-0 loss to Cody back at Smash Summit 8. Unlike last time, Amsa started off strong with a Game 1 win on Battlefield by 2-stocking Cody. In Game 2, Cody quickly responded with a 2-stock of his own on Pokemon Stadium. With the set tied 1-1, Amsa took Cody to Dreamland Game 3. But just like with Game 2, Cody 2-stocked Amsa once again. Game 4 was set to take place on Fountain of Dreams. Amsa wasn't willing to go down without a fight. 2 minutes into Game 4, Cody found himself down 2 stocks to 1, with it looking more and more likely that Amsa would take Game 4. Cody managed to bring the game back with both players at last stock and high percent. Cody would manage to complete the comeback and win 3-1, continuing his winner's run. Next, Cody got the chance to silence his doubters and potentially conquer his biggest bracket demon in Winners Final. Waiting for him was none other than Zain. Zain started off strong by winning Game 1 fairly confidently by 2-stocking Cody. Cody took Zain to FD with his counter pick, shocking everyone as Cody responded with a 2-stock of his own on Final Destination of all stages. Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts, we have ourselves a set. Both Zain and the audience were reeling from his loss to Cody on FD. Zain, believing in his ability to close it out on Mart's best stage, chose to take Game 3 back to FD again. Zain calmed himself and everyone down by 2-stocking Cody again. Down 2-1, not only was Cody looking at getting sent to losers, but hearing his doubters be smug and remind him that he couldn't beat Zain, much less win a tournament with Zain attending. Game 4 took place on Dreamland, a stage that favors Fox in this matchup due to platforms interrupting Marth's chain grabs and big blast zones making it harder for Marth to kill. Continuing the trend of the last 3 games, Cody once again 2-stocked Zain and evened up the set at 2-2. That sweet victory over Zain was so close, yet so far away. Everything was riding on Game 5, but then the unthinkable happened.
And then I won game line on Dreamland. I think it ended with me back airing him on the right side. He teched, maybe another tech. And then I back aired him again, he just died. And they were like, okay, Game 5. Like, they haven't gone Game 5 since Summit 9 a few years ago. In fact, during COVID, most of the time I got like 3-0'd. I think I had like one or two 3-1s in there. And the only thing I went into was like, watch the screen, just play good melee, have a good time. That's all you can do. And Emily said going into Game 5, she knew I was going to win because she saw Zane's hands and she saw my hands. And she's like, Zain looked nervous. You were calm. Good. You had nothing. And of course, Zain probably wanted to win after what happened at Summit 11. So I went in very confident and I just went up 4 stocks to 1. And it was just not close. He took 2 stocks, but it ended. I up threw him. He teched to the right on top platform and I got an up smash. And I wanted to pop off. I think if you watch one up the 4 stocks one, I also wanted to be like, let's fucking go. And I was like, nope. Game's not over. Tournament's not over. Relax. Stop yourself. And I got up. I was like, fuck yes. Shook his hand. I was like, GG's. And I just tried to like hold emotion down for the most part. And I went down, got on the couch. I was like, nope. Like fucking finally got him. But job's not done. I got more to do.
After being 0-11 against Zain in tournament, Cody finally beat him for the first time. And on top of that, he dominated Zain in Game 5. almost 4-stocking him at one point. Cody didn't have much time to celebrate or live in the moment because the job wasn't done. There was still someone he needed to beat in Grand Finals. Cody's final opponent couldn't have been more poetic. It was Cody's last bracket demon, Mango, who was coming from a loser's run of his own, defeating Leffen, Wizrobe, and Zain. Cody opened the set strong by 2-stocking Mango on Battlefield and Pokemon Stadium, going up 2-0. Game 3 was not like games 1 and 2. Mango was going to make Cody work if he wanted to win Smash Summit 12. Game 3 went down to the wire, last stock situation, but it ended with an unfortunate SD from Mango. With his Game 3 win, Cody did not only eliminate Mango 3-0, but proved to everyone in the Melee community that he was here and that he could hang with the best of them.
I remember just being like, literally like, yes, holy shit. Like, I was 1 in 22, 1 in 23 against those players combined. And realistically, the one win I had on Mango, in my head, it's not that it was fraudulent, actually, because like everyone gets that way when they're playing Border, but to me, it wasn't a real win to me. And so this was like, holy shit, I overcame it. Like, there's nothing left to overcome. That's it. I did it. And that to me was by far the greatest feeling. I still have the picture. You should be able to see it right there. That's the picture of me winning, holding the air sets. I don't know if you can see it that well, but that's pretty much my prize trophy. Like, I'll keep that for the rest of my life.
As the saying goes, all good things must come to an end. Shortly after Cody won Smash Summit 12, Cody's father's health deteriorated as he was diagnosed with skin cancer and had several strokes as well, leaving Cody to juggle Melee and streaming while taking care of his dad. Cody's efforts in 2021 were not recognized due to SSBM Rank not doing rankings in 2020 and 2021 due to the pandemic and online tournaments. Despite that, Cody ended 2021 being considered a top 3 player in the world, only behind Zain and Mango, a huge leap from his 2019 placement of being the 9th best player in the world. With a strong 2021 finish behind him, Cody entered 2022 looking to continue his winning streak from Smash Summit 12 into the next super major, Genesis 8. If he could get a first place finish at the first major of the year, he would be an early contender for the #1 ranking in the world, and there couldn't have been a better time, as it was announced that there was going to be official Melee rankings for the 2022 season. Cody got off to a great start at Genesis 8, running through pools and winning his first 3 sets convincingly. With Mango losing very early and out of the tournament at 9th place, everyone naturally assumed that the remaining top 3 players in the world at the time, Cody and Zain, were locks for Grand Finals. But before that could even happen, Melee viewers got an early preview of what the inevitable Grand Finals were going to be in winter semifinals, and they would not be disappointed. Cody opened the set strong, taking a close Game 1 on Battlefield, but Zain retaliated by 2-stocking Cody on Final Destination, tying the set up at 1 apiece. Not one to be fazed anymore by a loss on FD, Cody remained composed and won Game 3 by 3-stocking Zain, swinging all of the momentum in his favor and earning a comfortable 2-1 lead over Zain. But everything came to a screeching halt, as Zain adapted and returned the favor by 3-stocking Cody in Game 4, forcing a Game 5 on Yoshi's story. Game 5 lived up to the hype and had all of the viewers on the edge of their seat, as Cody and Zain traded stock after stock, before finding themselves with 1 stock in less than 2 minutes of playing. Despite the game being close, Cody was slightly in the lead, and he found an opening to close out the set and potentially send Zain to losers.
Doesn't manage to get anything off that up air, but this is still
dash.
anyone's game.
Oh, he just goes right in there, and
Oh,
the double shot. But Randall!
Randall is getting involved, and iBDW just doesn't move forward there.
Oh, great CC, and Zain will take it with the Ken combo.
Zain with the pop-off.
Oh my
the
God.
Huge pop-off, understandably so.
Yeah.
What a set from these two. This is, like I said, Vince, the new classic.
After a small cloud and some bad luck ending his winners round, Cody quickly picked himself back up and started a small losers run, defeating Nun and Hungrybox on his way to losers finals and hopefully back to grand finals, where Zain was waiting for him. In losers finals, Cody went up against another player who came from upstate New York. It was someone that Cody had crossed paths with before early in his Melee career, and no one in the general Melee community knew of him.
Turning combo versus Catman, it looked insane. Look at those needles!
JMook, a Sheik player who had came out of seemingly nowhere, defeating top players such as Plup, Nun, and Laud on his way to winners finals against the best player in the world, Zain, a Melee Cinderella story for the ages. But unbeknownst to everyone, JMook was not someone who had come out of nowhere. He had been in the scene for a while. Just like Cody, JMook made a name for himself all the way back in 2016 in his local New York Melee scene, but he took a hiatus from Melee during 2019 all the way to 2021, where he came back and competed in online Slippi tournaments from the comfort of his home. Prior to Genesis 8, JMook had placed high enough in the Smash World Tour 2021 last qualifier tournament to secure a spot at the Smash World Tour 2021 finals, where 40 players competed for the 75,000 prize pool, which was the largest in Melee history at the time. Out of these 40 players, JMook placed 13th, which was more than respectable for someone who hadn't been playing that long after taking some time away from the game. With more time to practice and starting to take Melee more seriously this year, JMook shocked everyone as he eliminated Cody with a quick 3-0 while continuing his Cinderella run. After Genesis 8, Cody entered Smash Summit 13 to end his cold spell and to defend his title and be the second player to ever repeat as a Summit champion, the first one being Armada. Outside of adding more achievements to his Melee career and legacy, there were bigger things on Cody's mind.
So going into Summit 13, my dad's health was pretty much fully deteriorated at that point, and I knew that he was probably going to pass pretty soon. But my Melee had also been pretty garbage at that point of that year. Genesis 8, I had done pretty well. Me and Zain had probably my favorite set with him ever that I lost, but I'd gotten fucked up by Jake and losers, and I hadn't won anything yet that year, and that was it was definitely on my mind a little bit, but I also understood logically that the place I was in, it was very hard to focus. But one thing that my life has trained me for is that when a tournament happens and a bunch of really weird stuff happens and everyone is in disarray, I perform really well at those tournaments. So if you want to call them the Mickey Mouse tournaments, I think it's a hilarious name. I do really well at those. I'm just used to playing insane levels of nonsense. So we go in and half the freaking venue gets COVID. I mean, the VIPs, a bunch of them, some of the players got COVID.
With several players DQing and the schedule being all over the place due to COVID, Cody made it to Winners quarterfinals without much trouble. His first opponent in Winners was None, one of the most aggressive and flashiest Captain Falcon players of all time, and was a top 20 player. Game 1 would begin on Yoshi's Island, so it was no surprise that the game finished in a little over 2 minutes, as Cody started off the set strong, taking a 1-0 lead while 2-stocking None in the process. Game 2, None took Cody to Pokemon Stadium. Unlike Game 1, Game 2 went down to the wire, as None managed to steal Game 2 with a nasty back air to knee combo, tying up the series 1-1 and preventing Cody from taking a commanding 2-1 lead. Game 3 took place on Final Destination. Cody took full advantage of his counter pick as he 3-stocked None. Game 4, None took Cody to Battlefield, attempting to stop the bleeding and avoid an early trip to losers. Unfortunately for None, he could not slow Cody down, getting 2-stocked as Cody won the set 3-1 and moved on to the next round. In Winners semifinals, Cody had the chance to avenge his Genesis 8 loss to JMook. Game 1 of Winners semifinals was set to take place on Battlefield. Game 1 was very close, going last stock as Cody managed to steal Game 1 by the skin of his teeth. This wouldn't faze JMook, as he wanted the Battlefield run back for Game 2, and in 1 minute and 51 seconds, JMook confidently 3-stocked Cody, evening up the set 1-1 heading into Game 3. Cody took JMook to Final Destination. While Game 3 was not as close as Game 1, it was extremely competitive, as Cody and JMook traded stocks with one another, and just like with Game 1, Cody pulled away at the end and found himself up 2-1. Game 4, Cody went on to avenge his Genesis 8 loss by 3-stocking JMook, eliminating him from the tournament as Cody moved on to Winners Finals. In Winners Finals, Cody was set to face off against Hungrybox. Hungrybox was looking to not only avenge his Genesis 8 loss to Cody, but looking to beat Cody offline since Smash Summit 11 back in 2021. Game 1 took place on Battlefield. It wouldn't be too long before we started seeing flashbacks of Genesis 8, as Cody once again started strong and convincingly 2-stocked Hungrybox. Just like last time, Hungrybox took Cody to Dreamland for Game 2, looking to tie up the set on his best stage. Game 2 went last stock and got the audience on their feet, but unlike Genesis 8, Hungrybox was able to capitalize on his counter pick and even up the set. Looking to take the lead back, Cody took Hungrybox to Final Destination for Game 3, where he picked up from where he left off from Game 1 and once again 2-stocked Hungrybox. holding a 2-1 lead in his favor and threatening to send Hungrybox to losers. Hungrybox would take Cody back to Battlefield for Game 4, looking to force a Game 5 and save his winner's run. Game 4 started off fairly close, as both Cody and Hungrybox took a stock off of one another, but it wasn't long before Cody not only pulled away, but ran away with Game 4, as he went on to 3-stock Hungrybox and punched himself a ticket to Grand Finals. Cody's opponent in Grand Finals was Plup, who was believed to be out of the tournament after testing negative for COVID, but still feeling pretty under the weather. Despite being ill, Plup was still a force to be reckoned with, and Cody had his work cut out for him if he wanted to repeat as a Summit champion. Game 1 opened on Battlefield. Cody was a bit cold, as he had been waiting for a while after his winner's final set. Plup came into the set red hot from his loser's run, and he let everyone know as he came out swinging. In under 2 minutes, Plup nearly 4-stocked Cody Game 1, setting the tone right away and giving Cody a strong wake-up call. Cody ran it back to Battlefield for Game 2. Unlike Game 1, it was a close game as both Cody and Plup found themselves with 1 stock each. Unfortunately, Cody could not close out Game 2, leaving Plup with a commanding 2-0 lead, threatening to force true finals. Just like with Games 1 and 2, Game 3 took place on Battlefield, but this time, things were different. Cody opened Game 3, taking a quick stock off of Plup within 15 seconds, setting the pace early as he found himself up 4 stocks to 2. It was looking like Cody was going to stop the bleeding and prevent true finals, but if there is one thing anyone should know, you should never ever doubt a Melee pro. Plup adjusted to Cody's pace and made a strong comeback, evening the stock count at 1 apiece, sucking out all of the air in the room, and it was looking more and more likely that Plup was going to force true finals. But Cody was able to steal Game 3 with a stray back air, making the set 2-1 and chipping away at Plup's hard-earned lead. Plup took Cody to Pokemon Stadium for his Game 4 counter pick. Game 4 was a shootout between him and Plup. They were evenly matched as they traded stocks with one another and found themselves both with 1 stock again. Cody would clutch out Game 4 and force a Game 5. He found himself on the verge of winning his second Smash Summit, or risking losing it all if Plup was able to force true finals. On the other hand, Plup found himself potentially winning his first Smash Summit by forcing true finals, or suffering another heartbreaking loss at a Smash Summit. All of this was answered in Game 5 on Dreamland, and it did not disappoint as it was a very close game. Just like with Games 2 through 4, Cody and Plup were neck and neck, and once again were in a familiar situation. Both players were down to their last stocks and began exchanging blows. Plup found himself at 168% off stage, with a chance to survive and keep his summit run alive. But Cody managed to close out Smash Summit 13 with a strong back air, eliminating Plup and making him the second player ever to win back-to-back Smash Summits.
Congratulations, man. So talk about the run, man. We want to hear it.
Yeah, man.
Well, before anything, obviously, some of you might have seen like my tweets this weekend.
For sure.
And so I'm going to try my best not to choke up. So this is basically, so I'm going to dedicate this one to my dad. Unfortunately, he's like deteriorated health really badly the past like 2 or 3 weeks. And I had to sign a DNR yesterday morning because he's kind of said he's done fighting cancer. He had cancer and a stroke for the past like 3 months. I've been trying to take care of him, and there's been some issues. Someone robbed him while he was in the hospital, ill, and I've had to deal with the police reports with that. But at the risk of sounding like too emotional, I just want to say I love you, Dad, and I'll miss you. I'm glad we reconnected, and thank you. I hope you're able enough to watch this. I love you.
Unfortunately, a few days after winning Smash Summit 13, on May 19th, 2022, Cody's father passed away. 2 months after his father passed away and taking some time to himself, Cody traveled to Toronto, Canada, home to the Get On My Level tournament series. Get On My Level, or GOML for short, is Canada's biggest Smash tournament and has always gotten over 1,000 attendees. Cody was looking to add his first GOML championship to his resume and further build his Melee legacy. Cody had a strong start to GOML 2022 as he once again ran through pools, heading into his winter quarterfinals match against Mango. It would be a very close 3-2 set, with Cody managing to win by the skin of his teeth in Game 5 in a last stock, last hit situation. This was not the only Smash God that Cody played against in GOML 2022, as his next round was against Hungrybox. Heading into GOML, Hungrybox was considering retiring and was focusing on his stream and his newfound success in the latest Smash game, Smash Ultimate. On top of this, Hungrybox had not been in Cody offline in about a year, the last time being at Smash Summit 11. Everyone was pretty much expecting Cody to beat Hungrybox without much effort, given that the last couple of times they played offline, Cody won 3-1. To everyone's surprise, not only was the set extremely close and went down to the wire, Hungrybox beat Cody, sending him to losers. Just as Hungrybox left his chair to pop off and celebrate his big win, there was a disturbance in the force.
Wants to get that option back on the table. He's worried about just misspacing lasers even so slightly, because if he gets hit by a backer, he will be knocked off stage like what we just saw.
Opportunity for H-Bucks, he calls it out, and that's gonna be it!
Wow.
The entire venue and online audience were already shocked by the massive upset, but now they were just completely confused on what was going on with Cody popping off when he had just lost. Outside of Hungrybox being a god in Melee for his results and skills, he was known to be the Melee god of pop-offs, being the only Melee player to have a 1-hour compilation of pop-offs. During the pandemic, and as Hungrybox stream and content grew in popularity, so did his pop-offs, as several of them went viral. People were unsure of what to make of Cody's anti-pop-off and wondered if it was in bad faith, given that Cody was no stranger to and had fallen victim to Hungrybox's pop-offs in the past. 6 months prior to GOML, at LACS 4, Cody lost to Hungrybox and had an extreme reaction, resulting in an infamous clip.
I meant to up B! No, I meant to up B! Dude.
I'm sorry, chat. I'm so sorry, chat. It's so frustrating, man. It's like, I lose 1 out of 10 sets and this happens and everyone just goes crazy and I can't take this pressure anymore, dude. It's like 1 out of 10 sets you lose and everyone just goes crazy and it's very hard to deal with. I don't know what to do. It's hard not to put this level of pressure on yourself, man. Now he's freaking out, he's gonna get 1 million subs, and I get that you're not supposed to care, but it's so fucking frustrating. I don't want to do this right now, man. I'm not doing the money match either. I'm telling them to fuck off. They should have fucking checked with me before they did that. They shouldn't make me just play something without anyone telling me. It's so frustrating. It's like I lose 1 out of 10 sets and this is what happens. How do you do this every single set, day in, day out, where every single time if you, it's just like fucking, just so fucking hard. I don't get it. It's so fucking hard to deal with. It fucking hurts.
There were members of the Melee community who were disgusted with Cody's reaction to losing to Hungrybox and lashing out at people in his chat. People were calling him a baby, soft, and overall just mocking him.
So LACS was announced because Genesis had gotten changed. I don't remember if it was from COVID or Nintendo. I don't remember why, but it was changed and it was like everyone needs to enter. And I was like, all right, like I just won Summit. I can't possibly not enter this. It's not fair if I don't enter this and give my best effort. But my dad, like that week, that day, had been diagnosed with terminal cancer and had multiple strokes. And so I should not have streamed that tournament, but I tried to compete through it and I didn't do, again, objectively poorly. I got 5th, but I lost to HBox and I had a breakdown. And this was not a gameplay breakdown, to be clear. This was I had shit going on and I should not have streamed and I should have been more transparent about what I was going through at the time. And I lost 3-0 and lost it. I couldn't deal with it. I saw like 3 negative messages in chat and fucking couldn't deal with it anymore. And had a full-on pretty much breakdown. And I remember that the lashback from the breakdown was so bad. And some dude made like 5 YouTube videos that got insane views on all of them. Like I'm talking, some of them I might have gotten like 50K. That I had to deactivate Twitter for 2 or 3 weeks because I physically could not deal with it. I didn't stream the rest of the tournament. I wanted to listen to Plup and Losers, which was whatever. Like, happy for Plup. I love Plup. But that was like, I had everything I wanted, and then in an instant, like, my family felt like it got taken away from me again. My spot felt like it got taken away from me again. My PR that I had worked so hard for got taken away because now I was just this fucking rager, this guy that had a shitty YouTube video made about him, and it came crashing back down. I was in a bad place for a while. Like, I was in the next 3 or 4 months, especially while trying to nurse my dad, who was just straight up dying, and the financial burden got put on me.
Further adding to people thinking Cody was upset and trying to get back at Hungrybox with his reverse pop-off was footage coming out of Cody complaining about Hungrybox allegedly abusing the ledge grab limit. In Melee, every single time a character grabs the ledge of the stage, they are granted invincibility for a set amount of time. Depending on how much damage they have, players can refresh this invincibility by dropping down and quickly jumping to grab the ledge again. Players who abuse this mechanic and stall the match by refusing to get off the ledge is known as planking. Outside of not being very fun to watch and delaying a tournament's schedule, if you plank or stall on a ledge for too long, the offending player can risk violating the ledge grab limit rule. The rule kicks in whenever there's a timeout. At the results screen, both players' cliffhanger statistics are checked. While the max amount of cliffhangers varies from tournament to tournament, ranging somewhere between 30 to 50, if one player is found in violation of the rule, they have to forfeit the game. Given that Game 1 did not go to time, the rule did not go into effect, and Hungrybox was found to not have gone over the max amount of cliffhangers anyway. So while it was understandable that some people thought that Cody was salty and wanted to take the spotlight away from Hungrybox either because of their LACS 4 set or Cody believing that Hungrybox broke a rule, Cody wasn't upset or salty at all. In fact, it was the complete opposite.
Yeah, so I had an idea where I just saw HBox doing all the pop-ups. So here's the thing. I love Juan. He's a great friend of mine, and I mean that genuinely. The pop-ups are insane. So, and to a lot of people, they are insanely cringe. They are over the top. They are very theatrical, and that's not a bad thing. It is a great content thing, but that is objectively true. Like, the dude will take a cup of noodles and throw it across a room, kick a chair and break his foot, roll around on a stage, you name it, he's done it. Faint. So I basically had an idea with, initially it was Duck. I told him, I'm like, next time HBox beats me, I know he's going to pop off. I am going to do it back to him first, and I am going to completely rob him of the ability to pop off, just as a fuck you to all the people he's popped off on. And he thought it was hilarious. I told Plup thought it was hilarious. I told Zain beforehand. I'm pretty sure, maybe I'm wrong about that, but Zain also got a chuckle out of it. He's like, that's pretty funny. Told a bunch of people, and pretty much everyone thought it was funny. No one said it was a bad deal, whatever. But, all right, try it out. And as I'm playing HBox and GOML, and this is my fault. I think I could have won that tournament, but I had a content idea in my head, and I wanted to do it. And I don't think it made me play explicitly worse, but it did take some focus away, because on my last stock, I'm not thinking, how do I beat him? I'm thinking, am I actually going to do this? And then I get back aired, and I'm like, yeah, fuck it, I'm going to do it. Why not? It should be funny. And so I just run up to him. I just start popping off in his face, and he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? What is happening? And in my head, I'm like, how's it feel, motherfucker? And of course, it's like crude. It's a dumb joke, but like, he's my friend. It's a dumb joke between a friend, and it's like a prank. And afterwards, there are people who are like, oh, wow, like, he was so offended by it. I'm like, he wasn't offended by it. He got a 1 million view YouTube video out about it. Always Critical made like a 2 million, 3 million view YouTube video about it. Who also said it's just a goofy prank between two friends. And I'm like, yeah, that's all it is. Funnily enough, I remember at one point, I felt like I was on a merry-go-round, and I was like falling to my left, but I couldn't figure out why. And then my vision went like black and starry, and I was like, whoa, 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 what the fuck is happening? And I guess I had just gotten up too fast after being like in a really intense set and went way too hard. And I almost fainted, and I just fucking reached my hand out to grab onto anything. And I think I probably grabbed onto the single most unfortunate thing I could have possibly grabbed onto at that point in time. As HBox so tactfully put it, his fupa. And I had no knowledge of this until afterwards. I saw back, I'm like, oh no. And obviously I apologized to him. And of course it's like, well, don't do that. And I'm like, yeah, no shit, don't do that. But like, if anyone's gonna faint, I feel like if something and fainted from it and they did that, I'd be like, yeah, I don't care, man. But that's also just me. But I just thought it was a funny prank. I don't know. And most of the people seem to enjoy it. It got a lot of engagement. Most people thought it was funny. Some people have like a weird obsession with it where they like, yeah, he's just bad. He's like a brand risk because the verse pop off. And I'm like, nobody thinks that. It was just a joke. It wasn't that serious. I don't regret it all. I thought it was funny. I probably should have put more effort into winning the set than thinking about it, but I don't mind it. I thought it was funny.
The reverse pop-off went viral on Twitter, spawning memes and getting the attention of massive YouTubers such as Moist Critical. But unlike the reverse pop-off that took Twitter by storm, Cody's run at GOML 2022 ended quietly as Cody was eliminated 3-1 by Joshman in losers quarterfinals. Following GOML 2022, Cody bounced back with 2 strong wins at Double Down 2022 and Phantom 2022 by beating both Amsa and Zain. With Cody's win at Double Down 2022, Cody was 1 major shy of tying Zain, who was currently in the lead for being the #1 player in Melee with 3 major wins. Unfortunately for Cody, Double Down 2022 was the last major he had for a while, as the second half of 2022 was not so kind to him. Shortly after winning Phantom 2022, Cody found out that he had a hernia, leaving him in a lot of pain and being unable to walk without limping. As a result, he could not attend Super Smash Con 2022, Shine 2022, and Riptide 2022. Thankfully, Cody got surgery and made a speedy recovery and returned to competing within 3 months. As Cody returned to competing, so did old bracket demons, as Cody was eliminated at his next 4 majors by either Mango or Zain. Despite being in a bit of a slump, Cody still had a chance to end 2022 on a strong note, as there were 3 big Melee tournaments in December that Cody could potentially win, that being Main Stage 2022, the Smash World Tour 2022 Finals, or the Panda Cup Finals. But little did Cody or the Melee community know, a massive tidal wave was coming their way. On November 29th, 2022, the Smash World Tour 2022 was announced to be cancelled, and the entire Smash World Tour tournament series was shut down for the foreseeable future. This was a massive blow to not only the Melee community, but the Smash community as a whole. Let's go back to March 2nd, 2020, the day that the Smash World Tour was announced, the first tournament circuit series for Melee and Ultimate. Since the start of competitive Smash, the Smash community yearned and wished for a day that Smash would have a tournament circuit series with big prizes and publisher support like other fighting games, such as Street Fighter, Tekken, and many others. The announcement of the Smash World Tour circuit was an answer to those prayers, incentivizing both Melee and Ultimate players to attend as many tournaments to score points, with the players having the most by the end of the season getting invited to compete at the Smash World Tour Finals. Instead of being partnered with the publisher of the game, Nintendo, the Smash World Tour circuit was partnered with Twitch, the largest live streaming platform, boasting the largest prize pool in Smash history at the time. The Smash World Tour was well received by the Smash community and pro players, supporting both tournament organizers and players financially, and hopefully being able to make Smash one of the biggest esport titles later down the line. So when the news broke for the Smash World Tour cancellation, to say that the entire Smash and gaming community were angry was a massive understatement. Everyone assumed foul play from Nintendo, as Nintendo and the competitive Smash scene as a whole have had a troubled relationship over the years. Nintendo first casted its oppressive shadow on the Smash community as a whole in 2010, when Major League Gaming, also known as MLG, added Super Smash Bros. Brawl to its Pro Circuit game roster. Once Nintendo caught wind, they quickly stepped in and banned MLG from live streaming Brawl matches, putting the fear of God into MLG to the point where they had to think twice before attempting to host another Smash tournament again. 3 years after the MLG Brawl livestream shut down, Nintendo once again appeared from the shadows at EVO 2013, telling EVO staff that they were not allowed to stream Melee matches. But this time, Nintendo was immediately hit with an extreme wave of backlash and hate from fans and players alike. Given that the Melee community had raised $95,000 for breast cancer research to secure a roster spot at EVO, faced with thousands of angry fans and threats, Nintendo quickly backtracked and allowed EVO to stream the Melee matches at their event. But this wouldn't deter Nintendo, as they were alleged to be behind the death of the beloved Project M mod. Project M was a Smash mod developed by a passionate team looking to recreate Melee's mechanics and add them to Brawl, adding back wave dashing, L canceling, designing new movesets for characters, and just overall speeding up the game. Nintendo has never been okay with fans modding their IPs, and has sent out several cease and desist letters to protect their IPs in the past, so it was no surprise that Nintendo refused to partner with or sponsor any tournament series that featured Project M in any capacity. It was even alleged that the lead organizer for Apex 2015 was pressured into dropping Project M from the event by Twitch so that Nintendo would sponsor the event. It was no surprise that once Project M was off the event, Nintendo gave Apex 2015 its official seal of approval, making it the second Smash tournament ever to be partnered or sponsored by Nintendo. 5 years after Apex 2015, during the peak of the COVID pandemic, the Big House 10 was cancelled due to social distancing guidelines. As a result, the Big House staff decided to announce the Big House Online and use a brand new Slippi rollback for the Melee bracket to provide a better experience for the players and the fans. But it wouldn't be long before the Nintendo ninjas struck again, as the Big House Online was sent a cease and desist letter from Nintendo a few days later for using Slippi rollback. Just like with the past Smash tournament shutdowns, there was a massive wave of backlash. Hashtag Save Smash was trending on Twitter worldwide, big YouTubers were talking about it, and multiple Twitlongers came out alleging that Nintendo had hurt the Smash community way more than anyone had thought from behind the scenes. Despite all of the backlash and support from across the world, there wouldn't be a happy ending like EVO 2013, as the Big House Online remained cancelled and things were looking bleak for the Smash community as a whole. With all of that history in mind, it shocked everyone to learn that Nintendo was not the only party involved behind the Smash World Tour's cancellation. In the official statement from the Smash World Tour team, they alleged that Cody's team, Panda Global, and its CEO, Alan, were strong-arming tournament organizers to not join the Smash World Tour circuit, but join their own Panda Cup circuit as it was officially partnered by Nintendo. As soon as people heard that Panda was potentially involved in the death of the Smash World Tour, thousands upon thousands of Smash and Nintendo fans were harassing or sending death threats to anyone who was associated with Panda Global. Naturally, as Cody was a Panda player, there were a lot of people mentioning him on Twitter and asking him in his Twitch chat, demanding answers on what he had to say about Panda's involvement in Smash World Tour's cancellation and if he'd leave the team. Cody urged everyone to wait until more information came out and Panda had come out with an official response. He let everyone know that if Panda was found to be guilty or if he was uncomfortable being a part of their team, he would leave.
So speaking of esports team, we've talked about all of your esports team, except for not the big
elephant in the room,
the big panda in the room.
Yeah.
So outside of the cancellation, we're gonna get there. We'll get there, I promise. What were your thoughts on the whole Smash World Tour circuit and the Panda drama that happened last year in November, I think? I could be wrong.
Before the cancellation. I couldn't make an informed opinion on it. So Alan obviously had told me stuff. TOs had told me stuff. And to me, I treat everything as if there's three sides to the story, which is usually pretty true. It's what one person says, what another person says, and then what actually happens. I could not understand what actually was happening. I think I have a better understanding of it now, but at the time, I was like, oh God, what the fuck happened? Like, there's no way somebody didn't mess up. But my question is, who was it and who had the primary blame? Because the TOs, of course, were saying Alan, but in my head, I was like, well, there's no way the TOs would say, well, we violated a bunch of Nintendo guidelines and Alan tried to save us, so this is actually our fault, so fuck us. And of course, Alan's not going to say, and then in retrospect, it sounds like, oh, well, of course it would be Alan, but there was no way to know that at that time, right? You guys knew the TOs well. I knew Alan well. And so I was trying to say I'm biased because somebody messed up. And at the time, there was no way Alan was going to be like, well, I got power hungry and fucked up and tried to strung on a bunch of TOs. So blame this on me. It's like, no, of course, everyone's going to deflect and blame the other person. So I had no idea what happened. I knew somebody messed up. I knew somebody messed up badly. I did not know who. Maybe, and the entire time in the back of my head, I was like, maybe Nintendo just said, screw all of you. I don't want to work with any of you anymore. I thought that was a legitimate possibility. I really didn't know. So it was stressful. Obviously, people were coming after every Panda player's throat. And I tried just my absolute best to be like, listen, I'm doing my best to be unbiased. I understand you guys are mad. My way I try to operate at all times, especially because I've learned this lesson the hard way in the past, is wait for everything to come out, and then I'm going to make a decision. And until that comes, I physically cannot, in good faith, make a conclusion either way. I can give you guys guesses, but that's the best I'm going to do, and I'm not going to feel away until I understand what fully happened. And then again, I remember I messaged Josh, who was our player manager, and I was like, let me know how the meeting goes, because the meeting was during main stage was during my pools, and I tried messaging Alan. I'm like, hey, I can't go to the meeting because I'm literally playing in bracket. And I talked to you afterwards, and I got no response. And I was like, okay, whatever. And I messaged Josh, and I'm like, let me know how the meeting goes. And he was like, yep, we'll do. And then he just replied to me with a letter of his resignation. And I was like, got it. All right, understood. And I trust Josh with my life, so I was like, yep, that makes sense.
Once Dr. Allen and Panda's official response came out 3 days after the allegations were first made, while in the middle of playing in Main Stage 2022, Cody officially left Panda, along with several other Panda players and content creators. With Panda players and staff leaving or being let go, Panda Global CEO stepped down and the Panda Cup circuit was cancelled as well. Once the dust settled, the Smash community was left with no major tournament circuits, and Cody was left as the 4th best player in Melee, with no esports team to support him heading into 2023. After a rough 2022, due to several personal issues and not placing well in the second half of the year, Cody looked to make 2023 his year and make the leap of becoming the #1 Melee player in the world. All Cody had to do was dethrone the newly crowned #1 player, Zain, and he wasn't going to let Cody get it without putting up a good fight. Cody started 2023 with 2 huge announcements. The first one was that after Genesis 9, Cody was going to retire the iBDW gamer tag and compete just under his full name, so he could have a fresh start and be himself, and supporting Cody on this journey was a new esports team, as Cody was signed by the Counter Logic Gaming esports team on January 20th, 2023. With a new sponsor supporting him, Cody entered Genesis 9 looking to build upon his 3rd place finish from last year and secure his first Genesis win. It wouldn't be long before Cody's dream of winning a Genesis tournament was put into question, as Cody fell into losers early after losing a close 3-2 set to Moki. Cody wouldn't be phased as usual, as he went on another big losers run, defeating Amsa 3-1 and Toussaint 3-0 on his way to losers round 8, where he faced off against Zain. Cody was playing on fire and could not be stopped, and that was the case once again when Cody did the unthinkable and eliminated Zain 3-0 for the first time on a big stage. After 3-0ing Zain, Cody continued his big losers run by defeating Plup 3-1 and then avenging his winner's quarterfinals loss by quickly 3-0ing Moki. Genesis 9 Grand Finals was a battle between the 2 best players in New York, JMook, who had been on an insane winners run and was looking to etch his name as the best Sheik of all time with a win at Genesis 9. Cody had never been closer to holding up a Genesis trophy and would be able to climb higher on the Melee all-time rankings. Once Cody and JMook sat down at the setup, they went at one another, bringing each other to last stock over and over again. Once the dust was settled, history was made, as JMook eliminated Cody 3-1 and became the first solo Sheik to win a major since Captain Jack in 2004, and the first solo Sheik to win a super major in Melee history. Genesis 9 continued Cody's drought into Collision 2023, where JMook once again eliminated Cody 3-1 in losers finals. As Collision 2023 concluded, the race for #1 had only just begun between Cody, JMook, and Zain. The 3 players had traded spots in the top 3 for the first 2 majors of the year, but it would once again be JMook holding the trophy up at the end. With back-to-back majors at Genesis and Collision 2023, JMook was firmly in the lead for #1, as he was the only player with major wins for the year. But that wouldn't be the case for long, as Cody snapped his streak of not winning a major a few weeks after Collision 2023 on home territory at CLG's first Melee major, Major Upset, marking his first major win of the year. However, the celebration wouldn't last long, as 3 days after winning Major Upset, Cody received bad news.
January 20th, 2023. I'm sure a day that you will never forget. You joined CLG. How are you introduced to him, and why did you end up signing with them?
They reached out to me while I was with Panda, and I was like, we would love to have you. And I was like, I'm with Panda, still my contract runs till the end of the year. I can't really negotiate right now. It's not fair to Panda, and they've been pretty good to me. Like, okay, well, keep in touch. And then obviously when the Panda debacle happened, I was already talking to them potentially about leaving Panda anyways because I wanted a raise. Same story. And obviously when they got shut down, I had an agent reach out to me instantly. His name's Oliver. He was like, listen, I'll represent you. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to need that. Good timing. And he had me negotiate with a few teams. And here's my frustration with that entire ordeal. They were great to me. The people that were great to me, and I'm sure most of them did not know what was going to happen. So I was actually introduced to Kevin Toy, Pew Pew, who was working there at the time as a kind of player personnel type person, like managerial stuff. And he was the one who was kind of making the pitch to me, and he definitely didn't know anything about this. The reason that was frustrating to me is because I was talking to 2 other teams at the time, and someone had to know that they were talking to Energy about being sold, because there's no way that an esports team gets sold in 3 months without any prior talks. Usually you're going to be pretty far along by that point. So someone approved that contract knowing that, because they wouldn't give me a void clause, that I was going to get cut, most likely by Energy, and I was just being used to kind of increase the assets. Like, okay, you have to buy all the associated assets to raise the price of the team. Even if they didn't want him, it is an asset. And that cost me the chance to sign with 2 other teams that are still in operation. So I look back on that with a lot of lament. I look at that with a lot of disdain for it, because someone there really fucked me over. And it wasn't, I know for a fact it wasn't Pew Pew. I know for a fact it wasn't Greg, the CEO at the time. I know for a fact it wasn't like Bobby Siege. If Bobby Siege is an angel, he would never do anything like that. But someone there, fuck you, whoever that was, if you're watching this, you're an asshole, because you caused me to be without a team. It all worked out because without that, Eggdog doesn't get involved in Smash, and I think Eggdog in Smash is clearly a net positive. So on that aspect, I'm glad it happened. Everything's happened for a reason. But whoever that was, you are an asshole, and I want you to know that.
You want me to leave that in there?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Also for Magi, because Magi also got fucked over by that. Magi had 2 weeks on the team, and that for her, there was definitely no way. She left Beast Coast. There is no way she didn't know that was getting sold at that point.
Suddenly, without a sponsor, Cody was left to pick up the pieces and figure out how he could afford to go to tournaments for the rest of the year. While packing for his trip to Vancouver, Canada to attend Battle of BC5, Cody got a Twitter DM from a huge YouTuber.
Literally Jed, just one of the 2 guys. It's Jed, and so Zamsire is the guy who makes all the videos, pretty sure, and Jed kind of does a lot of the back-end stuff, operation stuff, etc. And Jed just messaged me. He's like, "Yo, you don't have a team for Battle BC," and he said, in hindsight, he did this on a whim, and this story is pretty funny. You got a team for Battle BC? If you want to sponsor you? And I was like, "We'll pay for you and your travel." And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I got nothing lined up. That'd be fucking perfect." And apparently they're like, "Okay, well, we would want you to wear a merch." And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And then they're like, "Wait, you don't have any merch. What do we do?" And so they went into Zamsire's closet, and they got all of the prototypes for the Eggdog stuff that was Zamsire's. They're like his personal stuff. So this is Zamsire's hoodie. This is not, I guess it's mine now, but this is literally Zamsire's hoodie. And they just took it and gave it to me because we were the same size by coincidence. And so they just gave me all the stuff, and I was like, "Yeah, fuck it." I didn't know at the time it was his stuff, but I was like, "Yeah, absolutely," and I wore it.
Thanks to Eggdog, Cody was given some breathing room financially and happily joined Eggdog Esports on a per-event basis to cover his traveling costs. With Cody's travel worries taken care of, he could focus all of his energy into playing at Battle of BC5, and he'd do so as he got off to a strong start, running through pools and beating Leffen 3-1 in Winners Round 2. But Cody was quickly stopped in his tracks in Winners Semifinals, as he ran into Zain very early in bracket. Cody and Zain traded games with one another, and before we knew it, there was a Game 5, but unlike their prior games, Zain dominated Cody in Game 5 with a convincing 3-stock, sending him to losers. After losing to Zain, Cody put together a nice small losers run, eliminating S2J and avenging his Genesis and Collision losses by eliminating JMook 3-1. Cody carried all of this momentum into losers finals, where he had a rematch against Zain. Just like their set in Winners Round 3, losers finals went to Game 5, except this time, Cody dominated Zain in Game 5, nearly 4-stocking him and moved on to Grand Finals, where Amsa was waiting for him. Coming off the high of beating Zain so convincingly, Cody carried it into Grand Finals, resetting the bracket by beating Amsa 3-1. Once Cody forced True Finals, he didn't look back as he eliminated Amsa 3-0. With his Battle of BC5 win in hand, Cody was now tied with JMook for the total number of major wins this year. While Zain had yet to secure his first, Cody now had the chance to take the lead if he could win the next major tipped off 14 in Georgia. Things were business as usual as Cody found himself on the winner's side of top 32 in bracket. His first set was against Polish, a Peach main who was a top 25 player in the world. Polish came out swinging and found himself up 2-0 on Cody, on the verge of a massive upset. Cody then woke up and started to make a comeback and potentially reverse 3-0 Polish until on Game 4 last stock, Cody accidentally air dodged and SD'd, sending him to losers very early and not going out on his own terms. Further adding salt to injury, shortly after getting sent to losers, Cody wouldn't have the chance to go on a losers run, as he was quickly eliminated by Kadoran 3-0 off stream. Finishing at 13th place was easily Cody's worst performance at a major since Genesis 7, all the way back in early 2020. Meanwhile, Zain went on to win Tipped Off 14, marking his first major win of the year. Just like that, Cody, JMook, and Zain had cemented themselves as the 3 main contenders for the #1 ranking. Once Cody arrived home from Tipped Off 14, he noticed spots on his skin. Cody got it checked out and was unfortunately diagnosed with early-stage skin cancer. He needed immediate surgery to prevent it from getting worse. As a result, Cody had to drop out from Riptide 2023, because if he were to catch COVID, the surgery would be delayed for 6 weeks at least. After being let go from CLG a few months prior, coming off a disappointing finish at Tipped Off 14, and being diagnosed with skin cancer, for the first time since Smash Summit 8, Cody was uncertain if his Melee career would continue. After taking some time alone and re-evaluating where he was currently in life, Cody announced his decision via Twitter on June 20th, 2023. If Cody didn't feel like Melee was financially viable and something that he could grow to support a family of his own by Genesis 10 in February of next year, Cody was going to hard cut off Melee and retire. While Cody's decision shocked Melee fans and pro players since he was at the top of his game, he was met with a lot of love and support from the Melee community for his decision. 2 weeks after his potential retirement announcement, with his Melee future in his own hands, Cody went to California to compete in the next Melee major for the year. The Ludwig Ahgren Championship Series 5, or LACS 5 for short, was the 5th installment in the LACS tournament series, hosted by the massive YouTuber Ludwig. Unlike the last 4 LACSs, LACS 5 was the first in-person LACS tournament and featured 16 of the best Melee players duking it out in Los Angeles, California. It was no surprise that Cody was one of the 16 players invited due to the impressive 2023 he had been having up to this point. Cody did really well early on, not losing in pools at all, beating Amsa and Mango, and as a result, found himself in winners finals. Cody had to get through Leffen if he wanted to get to grand finals. The two traded stocks and games with one another, and before they knew it, they were going to a Game 5. Cody found himself with the lead for most of Game 5, up 2 stocks to 1. Leffen managed to take Cody down to 1 stock, but he was at 145%. One hit from Cody and Leffen would be dead. Unfortunately, Leffen completed his comeback and sent Cody to losers finals. Waiting for Cody in losers finals was none other than Zain. Just like with every one of their sets this year, it wouldn't be long before Cody and Zain found themselves in a Game 5, playing for the chance to avenge their losses to Leffen. But instead of a repeat of their last set in Battle of BC5, it was Zain who clutched out Game 5, eliminating Cody 3-2 and putting him ahead of Cody in their head-to-head count. While Zain could not secure his second major win at LACS 5, Zain went on a tear in the next 2 weeks, winning 2 majors back-to-back. Zain had not only chipped at Cody's lead for #1, but surpassed him at 3 major wins to Cody's 2. Entering Super Smash Con 2023, Cody was coming off his 5th place finish at Get On My Level 2023 and a 3rd place finish at LACS 5. Cody had to at least place better than Zain or win Super Smash Con 2023 to tie Zain at 3 major wins apiece. With that in mind, Cody had a great winners run, beating Amsa and Mango on his way to winners finals. Just like Cody, Zain also had a great winners run, beating Kadoran and Moki as both he and Cody were set to face off in winners finals. Cody started off winners finals by winning a close Game 1, and it was looking like winners final would continue the trend of their sets being close. But unfortunately, while the final set count wouldn't reflect how close their games were, Zain won 3 games straight and sent Cody to losers finals, where he was eliminated by Hungrybox in a close 3-2 set, who was having a vintage performance for the ages. As Super Smash Con 2023 concluded, Zain walked away with a comfortable 4-2 head-to-head record over Cody and secured his 4th major win at Super Smash Con 2023 to Cody's 2 major wins. With JMook seemingly out of the running and Cody entering a bit of a slump, it was looking more and more likely that Zain would defend his title as the #1 player in Melee. 2 weeks after Super Smash Con, Cody would attend Shine 2023. At Shine 2023, Cody had the chance to not only win his 3rd major of the year, but the person he was in direct competition with for #1 this year, Zain, was also attending.
But going into Shine, there was a sense that if Zain wins this, that's it. The year is over. I was burnt out going into Shine. I was like, I don't want to do this. I'm done. I'm exhausted. I don't know what I can do right now. but this was one time where I think I actually played more for community than myself because I was like, Zain wins this, the rest of this year is boring. And this has already not been our best year. So even if I don't feel like I can do it for myself, I think it's just too important for me to give this tournament my absolute best that I can.
Cody had not won a major since May at Battle of BC5. The title of being the #1 player was slipping through Cody's very hands. If he didn't win Shine 2023 and Zain did, it would shut the door on being #1 for Cody this year, as there wouldn't be enough majors left in the year to potentially catch up to Zain. With that in mind, Cody went on an absolute tear at Shine 2023, 3-0ing most of his opponents, and before long, Cody was in winners finals to avenge his Super Smash Con 2023 loss against Zain.
And then I played Zain. And I remember I had vented, and this is not a rational thought, but I had vented to Dragcn, who gives me lessons beforehand. I was like, man, sometimes I just want a freebie, you know? I know you shouldn't want it as a competitor, you should never want it, but sometimes you just really want a freebie. And then I played Zain, and he just played the worst melee of his life. And I 3-0'd him. And I was like, oh, well, I guess there's my freebie. Awesome. I just stayed super calm the entire time, didn't care. Maybe he was feeling pressure, I don't know. But he just got 3-0'd. And I was like, awesome, sick. And he had beaten Amsa pretty badly before that. I remember he 4-stocked him game 1, I'm pretty sure. So I was like, sick.
Even though Cody was playing out of his mind and feeling himself, he shocked everyone by 3-0ing Zain and earning his Grand Finals appearance without much resistance. Grand Finals was a rematch between Cody and Zain, with Zain entering from loser's side after making quick work of Aglo. Unlike Winners Finals, Zain had come looking to send a message and repay Cody for last time.
And then Zain 3-0s the shit out of me right back. Fucks me up first set. I'm like, uh-oh. I'm in danger.
Zain 3-0'd Cody and reset the bracket, forcing true finals. If Cody didn't wake up and adjust fast, Zain would have shut the door entirely on Cody's case for being #1 this year. Game 1 of True Finals played out similar to Grand Finals, as Zain convincingly 2-stocked Cody. Zain had all of the momentum on his side and showed no signs of slowing down. Game 2 was a must-win, otherwise Zain would be heading into Game 3 winning 5 games straight and get a clean sweep on Cody. Cody counterpicked a battlefield, and Game 2 was a return to status quo for how their sets typically go, going down to the wire and having the crowd on the edge of their seats. Cody would stop the bleeding after clutching out Game 2 and even up the score at 1 apiece, but Zain wouldn't be phased, as he quickly responded by serving Cody a 3-stock in Game 3, not allowing Cody to take away his hard-earned lead from Grand Finals. Heading into Game 4, Cody was on the brink of elimination, and it was looking like all of his hard work this year would be in vain. Cody counterpicked a Dreamland and looked to keep his tournament run alive by forcing a Game 5. Game 4 was just another day in the office for Cody and Zain, as they traded stocks and combos with one another, and it wouldn't be long before they found themselves both at their last stocks. But it was Cody closing out a huge win as he forced a Game 5. The crowd erupted with Cody as he wiped the slate clean heading into a Game 5. It was anyone's tournament now. Zain would take Cody to Pokemon Stadium to decide the Shine 2023 champion, and just like with Games 2 and 4 being very close, Game 5 was no exception, except when Cody went down to his last stock, he had the biggest smile on his face. Instead of being afraid of the moment, Cody embraced it. He wanted this, and he would get this. Cody proceeded to win Game 5, becoming the Shine 2023 champion and celebrate with the crowd with one of his biggest pop-offs, as he knew he still had a chance to become #1. His quest for #1 continued. With Cody's massive win at Shine 2023 against Zain, Cody had positioned himself to have a really good chance at winning the #1 ranking this year. All he had to do was finish strong at the last Super Major tournament of the year, the Big House 11, hosted in Detroit, Michigan. The Big House 11 started off like most majors that Cody entered. Cody was doing well in pools early, just another day in the office as Cody moved on to his next opponent in pools, an unranked Samus player known as Morse Code. Nothing to worry about for someone like Cody. Cody lost in pools, getting sent to losers very early. Not only was this a massive blow and setback to Cody's tournament run, and people making fun of him for losing to an unranked Samus, but Cody was in danger of placing extremely low, even lower than his 14th place finish at Tipped Off 14, which would be a death sentence for his case of being the #1 player in Melee. Everything that Cody had fought for this year, and even having managed to come back strong after getting dropped by CLG, was crashing down. it was going to end like this. An embarrassing early loss would undo his impressive 2023 run that he had poured his entire heart and soul into. While Cody knew it wasn't over until he was eliminated from the tournament, due to the sheer amount of attendance and pretty much all of the best Melee players attending, Cody had to win at least 8 sets to even sniff Grand Finals. This was the most daunting challenge Cody had ever faced in his Melee career, with the added pressure of determining the #1 ranking on his shoulders. After his loss to Morse Code, Cody composed himself by reminding himself that the tournament wasn't over. He still had a fighting chance. Cody entered his next pool match with this in mind against Chango, a Puff player who was also sponsored by Eggdog Esports.
But it was bad. And then at the same time, or around the same time, Zain was down 2-0 to Ossify. And that set was crazy. Zain, by the skin of his teeth, pulls it back and barely wins. And in my head, I'm like, well, that's why he's going to get #1. I'm not. He closes those and I don't. I don't deserve it then. And I was dejected. I was distraught. I was like, there it goes. I cannot believe I fucking didn't even get to top 33 or whatever, 32 before losing. And I played my next 2 sets. Thank God I lost and I had a Puff immediately. I played Chango, beat Flash. I think Flash would have beaten me if I had to play him in that state. Falco from Ohio. I played Chango, Jigglypuff, and won 3-0.
Unfortunately, Cody committed friendly fire as he eliminated Chango 3-0 and moved on to losers round 3. His opponent was the real thing, a Falco player and one of the best players from Ohio. He was not someone to be taken lightly, as he would make Cody work for his win. Every game was close and went to the last stock. The real thing shocked everyone by pushing the potential #1 player to a Game 5. It looked like Cody wasn't going to be able to stave off an early elimination and an extremely low placement at the Big House 11. But in Game 5, Cody adapted and convincingly 2-stocked the real thing, saving his Big House 11 run. Cody carried the momentum from his losers round 2 and 3 wins into losers round 4 and quickly eliminated Faust, one of the best Jigglypuffs from Canada, 3-0. Cody's next set was going to be his first true challenge at the Big House 11, his first top 20 in the world opponent, None. Early on in Cody's career, None was a problem for Cody as he held a 4-0 record over him until 2020 and the release of Slippi. Since then, Cody had turned the tables and had not lost a set to None since 2020. The trend would continue as Cody eliminated None 3-1. Following None was Hungrybox. Cody was plenty warmed up after making quick work of 2 Jigglypuffs earlier, so it wasn't surprising when he quickly eliminated Hungrybox 3-0 and moved on to losers round 8. Cody was 1 set away from reaching losers semifinals, but standing in his way was Amsa. But just like with None and Hungrybox before him, Amsa quickly fell to Cody and was eliminated 3-0. In losers semifinals, Cody ran into Zain. Up to this point, Zain held a 6-5 head-to-head record against Cody for the year. Cody had no choice but to even up the record and bolster his case for #1. Just like with most of their sets this year, this one also did not disappoint, going down to the wire and was last stock last hit for Game 5. Cody would clutch Game 5 by the skin of his teeth and eliminate Zain from the Big House 11. Cody had turned around his bad start to the Big House 11 as he managed to even up his head-to-head count with Zain for the year and would place higher than him at the last Super Major of the year. Now he just had to keep it up in Losers Finals, and with a win there, he could potentially find himself in Grand Finals. In Losers Finals, Cody faced off against Mango. Long ago, Mango had steamrolled Cody in bracket multiple times and had been a fierce bracket demon for him to overcome. That was no longer the case. Cody had leveled up to the point that he was more than a worthy opponent and could go toe-to-toe with a player of Mango's caliber. Cody continued his losers run by eliminating Mango 3-1, punching his ticket to Grand Finals and on the verge of completing arguably the biggest losers run of all time. It would most likely put him over Zain and he would claim the #1 spot this year. Waiting in Grand Finals was Plup, who was looking to not only win his first major of the year, but also looking to secure his first Big House win after coming up short twice in the past. There was a lot riding on the line for both players, but only one would come out on top and add to their legacy. Plup opened Grand Final strong, finding himself with a commanding 2-1 lead after 3-stocking Cody in Game 3. It was looking like Cody was not going to be able to complete his insane losers run and would have to settle with 2nd place, a far cry from the 33rd place that Cody was looking at the start of his losers run. But nothing would satisfy Cody unless he got #1 here and getting #1 in the world. Cody had been in worse situations before. All he had to do now was just focus on doing his best, and that he did, as Cody went on to win the next 2 games and reset the bracket, forcing true finals. Cody had already made it this far, and with all of the momentum on his side, he just could not be stopped as he went on to 3-0 Plup, completing his insane losers run and arguably the biggest losers run of all time. Because Cody had to win 15 sets to just reach Grand Finals and win the Big House 11, and for context, Plup had to win 9 sets just to reach Grand Finals. This victory was bigger than anyone could imagine, because outside of Cody saving his chance for being number 1 this year, the Big House 11 was not the only Big House win in Cody's career, because for the first time in 28 years, after having a rough upbringing, moving from place to place 18 times, and reaching rock bottom while being homeless for a year, on December 3rd, 2023, thanks to a generous viewer, Cody was able to close down on a home in Michigan, his own home, and Cody nearly broke down in tears once he stepped in. Finally, he was rewarded for all of his blood, sweat, and tears over the years.
So now that you're in your new home, how has that like helped you just like in terms of just like your mentality and just like how does it feel?
Being in a new home has been something I had no idea how much I needed. I knew I would be happier, but it still hits me every time where I'm like, oh, I just go upstairs to my room and stream. Oh, well, I could just stay up here and play games if I want. Nobody is going to say anything. Oh, I could just go drive around my neighborhood, and that's my neighborhood. Like, the house is in my name. No one can kick me out. No one can do anything about it. It's just, no one can blackmail me out of my house. No one can threaten to kill themselves and make me leave the house as a result. That has happened multiple times. It's just my house. And so I go home from a tournament, and some of the things found it kind of funny. I know I shouldn't look at chat, but I do sometimes. When I looked at the match, the chat for the match, and people were talking about, oh, he's like downplaying the match. I'm like, no, I'm not downplaying the match. I'm telling you that like this is a hype thing, but it doesn't make or break your life anymore. And that is genuinely just how I feel. It's not a life or death situation for me anymore. It's just, this is the match we're playing today. And if it works out, great. If not, I know what I did this year, and that's also okay by me. Obviously, I want number 1, but it's just not really the relevant point in my life right now. In terms of, I need this or I physically am going to collapse. That's not the case anymore. It's something that I strive to achieve. But if I don't get it, as long as I tried my best, that's all I can ask for. And I can actually feel that way now, which I never was able to feel that way before.
Things were going super well for Cody, as he now had a house and pretty much had the number 1 ranking secured. The only thing that was missing was an esports team to call home. However, the future of esports teams were looking bleak, as several esports teams were shutting down. With the lack of venture capitalist funding or failing to make a profit on merch, esports teams that had not gone out of business were hesitant to sign on new talent, even more so with Smash players, with the added risk of Nintendo potentially shutting down tournaments at any moment. Despite all of that, on Halloween 2023, there was hope that Cody might be able to end his free agency arc, as the CEO of the Sentinel esports team announced that if the Sentinels win their upcoming Valorant Invitational tournament, they would sign Cody. Not wasting any time and excited at the chance of being signed, Cody livestreamed his reaction to the Sentinels tournament run and watched as they ended up winning. He was no longer going to be a free agent. And then on November 22nd, 2023, Sentinel CEO Robert Moore tweeted out the following: "For those of you hoping that we would be able to sign iBDW, we made what we thought was a marketplace offer, but Cody and his team believe that they can find a better deal. We will still be rooting for him as the fans that we are."
The Sentinels was so frustrating. So obviously they had gotten a cash injection, and I messaged them, I responded to them, and I asked if they were interested in signing arguably the best Melee player in the world. And their CEO, Robert Moore, I will never forget that name, said, a lot of people say we should. And we started talking, and they seemed genuinely interested in talking. They said, okay, if we win the Sentinels Invitational, we will sign you. I was like, bet. Watched the Sentinels Invitational. They won, and I thought my search for a team was probably over. But I was in the back of my head, there's a chance of something going wrong. So we met, and we talked a lot for the first few days. And then there came the offer. And the offer was less money than any other top 10 player. No guaranteed travel. And when I asked them for travel, they quote-unquote said, go ask Eggdog to pay for your travel. Continue to pay for your travel while you're with us. And they didn't say Eggdog, but they said your previous sponsors, which is Eggdog. They paid for my travel. And I was like, do you think you are? What was it? I think Zain's quote was, this guy watches too much Shark Tank. I was like, that's kind of what it feels like. and they wanted to take some of my prize money. Nobody in Melee gets a prize money because there is no prize money. It's just petty. And to be fair, I made probably like $50,000-$60,000 last year from prize money. So let's say that there was some that offset a large portion of the already tiny salary that they were going to pay me. So between the fact that I can't get stipends from teams to go to tournaments anymore because I'm on Sentinels and I'm not going to be wearing their merch, I'm going to be wearing Sentinels merch. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. And so I'm not joking. We went back with a counter offer. So the first counter offer they said was too aggressive from Oliver and myself, and we're like, okay, sure, but it's a negotiation. Like, you start high and then you go down. It's like, this isn't my final offer. This is just what my ideal offer would look like. And I was like, okay, so we'll talk more. They stopped responding at that time, but we're like, well, we'll just give them another offer. And so we gave another offer, and there were two variants of the offer. I'm not going to say the exact numbers, but one was $1,000 more a month, which for a company that got a $3.2 million cash injection and already gave me a very low amount of money, is not much. It would still be less than I got paid on Panda. $1,000 extra a month, just get me to the events, and you can still take. I think we actually gave them a larger percentage of my earnings than they had previously asked for. And the other one was $2,000 extra a month. Oh no, sorry, that one was still the initial amount. The other one was $2,000 extra a month, 10% more of my earnings, and travel to events. And their only response was, well, what do you think of our offer? And this was after I had given them a 3-page breakdown. And to be fair, them is just Robert Moore. No one else had any hand in this from what I'm aware of. I had given them a 3-page breakdown on why I can't accept their offer, because it would cost me money. And there was no guarantee it would work. And I have bills to pay. And I physically can't afford to not pay those bills right now. And so we talked about that. And they just didn't respond to it. And they just asked, what do you value our offer at? And I was like, I just told you what I valued it at. I gave you a 3-page breakdown. It's like, you didn't even read it. And eventually Oliver was like, okay, you know what? Sorry, this is not going to work. We're going to have to just say that we're moving on to somewhere else, and that's all. And then he just straight up left the group chat. Baller move, by the way. It was badass. He sent this page and then just instantly leaves the group chat. I didn't leave or anything. I didn't touch on it. He just said, wish you the best of luck. And I was like, all right, wish you the best of luck. And I was just going to go on Twitter. I'm like, listen, the deals didn't make sense for either side. We couldn't come to an agreement, such as life. Like, I understand that they said it, but they just didn't understand what I need to they didn't understand that I literally need to get to a certain point to make a living, and that's all right. Like, whatever. It is what it is. It was a fun time. And then he just made a preemptive tweet saying that he made like a market value offer and that I didn't accept it because we thought we could get more elsewhere. And I was like, why? And then he tagged me in it too. And I was like, why would you tag me in this? Bro, why would you make this tweet? Like, I was just going to say, like, listen, it just didn't work out for either side. The deal didn't make sense for either of us. I understand. Nothing personal, it's business, and we'll move on. And then he made the tweet. And I'm like, all right, well, now I have to say something. So that was just an unnecessary L. I don't know why any of that came about. I think it wound up helping me long term because it improved a lot of people thought I was just asking for too much money. And I was like, guys, I'm asking for around what I made with Panda. Like, in some cases, less. I'm not asking for much. I understand esports is in a rough spot right now. I just want a team that's actually going to support me and can get me to events. And then I can pay my bills. That's all. So it was pretty insane that the way that transpired. But lesson learned, I guess, for Robert Moore. I don't know if he'll learn a lesson from it at all. I don't know if he even cares or thinks about it. But it was definitely one of the most bizarre experiences I've ever had in esports.
The entire Melee and esports scene took Cody's side and called out the Sentinel CEO for throwing Cody under the bus and trying to make him look greedy. Unfortunately, it was looking more and more likely that Cody had to continue his search for an esports team to call home into 2024. Surely, that wouldn't take too long if he officially became the best player in Melee, right?
And at that point, I was like, huh. What now? Like, what do we do? And me and Zain are like, are we going to settle this in Arca Melee at Santa Paws? And we had an idea. It was Zain's idea first. He's like, bro, let's just do a show match. First to 10, whoever wins takes it. I don't want to settle this in Alabama. I don't want to settle this in France. Just me and you. Let's get it done. And I was like, and it was that night after the tournament. It was like after dinner, or it's at dinner. And I was like, okay, why not? Let's do it. And so we agreed. We messaged Ludwig. After some coordination with Melee Stats team, we got everyone on board. And that's at the stage for a show match, first time ever, where someone would play for number one.
For most of the year, There was a lot of debate on who was truly the #1 player in Melee between Cody and Zain. The argument for Cody was that he had much higher peaks and attended way more tournaments than Zain, but had much lower lows, such as finishing 16th at Tipped Off 14. On the other hand, Zain was much more consistent than Cody, never finishing lower than 5th at all of the major tournaments he attended this year, while winning this year's Super Smash Con, Get On My Level, and Tipped Off 14. It also didn't help that they were both tied for sets and games for the year. It could go either way and be justified. This was uncharted territory for the Melee community, as there had never been a closer race for #1 in the world in the scene's 20+ year history. The Melee community was provided an answer on who was going to be the #1 player on December 15th, 2023, the match for the #1 ranking for Melee. A first to 10 show match to determine the #1 ranking was announced to take place in Los Angeles, California, and hosted by the big YouTuber Ludwig. Cody arrived in California, coming in red hot with 3 back-to-back wins at the Big House 11, Accra Melee, and Santa Paws 2, while Zain, on the other hand, hadn't had a first place finish since August at Super Smash Con 2023. Despite his slump at the end of the year, Zain was looking to defend his title as the best player in Melee for a second year in a row. Cody was looking to finally get his hands on that coveted #1 ranking, a reason to keep on playing and make something out of Melee. This was as Melee got. 2 players sitting at a CRT, playing for their pride and legacy, fueled by passion and no money on the line. Now, they will try. This was Cody's biggest Melee win by far, but there was no massive pop-off. There was no pop-off at all. Cody was just on the floor, quiet and shaking, overcome with emotion. Cody had done it. He was officially the #1 player in the world. Cody Schwab wasn't supposed to be here. He was supposed to be doing work at a normal job and become an attorney like most of his family had. The championship belt for being 2023's #1 Melee player was a testament for overcoming homelessness, losing close family members, battling personal demons and medical issues. Against all odds, Cody was finally home. All of his time in Melee paid off, giving Cody a physical and spiritual home, with Emily and great friends by his side, a strong community rallying behind him and supporting his streams. Cody's bad luck had finally turned around. He was able to make something out of Melee, his future. And with his amazing 2023, Cody has promised to continue competing in Melee and try to defend his #1 ranking in 2024. At the time of this documentary, Cody still does not have an esports team sponsoring him at the start of 2024. But if he doesn't get signed by another one, Cody knows he'll be okay. Despite all of the terrible things that have happened in your life, how do you not get jaded or bitter at the world or life?
How do I not get jaded? You do sometimes. And I think the first part is accepting that you're going to get jaded and understanding that everyone has their own struggles and that it's all relative is kind of paramount to making sure that that doesn't get too in the way. I've definitely envied a lot of the other competitors at times for their backgrounds and their upbringings. But the thing I have to remember is that there's always good things that come out of it. It's like when there's a lot of pressure on a lot of people, I perform better. And that's just because my life has helped me with that. And there's always good things to take away from it. And it always makes me appreciate things, I think, more than other people. Again, not for some innate reason, but because it allows me to enjoy a lot of those things and say, yeah, like the ride's just really fun. Or it's okay being, beaten here. For a lot of other people, it will destroy them now. To me, it's like, listen, I have a house. I have a place to live, and I have a person who loves me downstairs. I can't ask for much more.